Chapter 4370. He had no way to solve this problem. Although he could rely on his taboo power to refine the restriction power contained in the Heavenly Palace battle armor, he couldn't help others refine it. Even if he controlled Dandan and Ling Yue, he couldn't help them refine it. I'll give you 3 breaths of time. Hurry up and make your move. If you don't, you'll be the ones to die. Yeludi said coldly. He raised the array disc in his hand and injected his power into it. The array disc lit up and runes filled the air. Dandan and Ling Yue's bodies trembled slightly. Runes also appeared on the surface of their skin. Wait a minute, I didn't say I wouldn't make a move. What are you so anxious about? Dandan shouted. Then make your move. Yeludi said. We can make a move, but I have a condition. Dandan shouted. What condition? Yeludi asked with a gloomy face. At this time, this guy actually dared to negotiate with him. He was very unhappy. Give me 300 pill furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter and 10 pill furnaces with a diameter of 3 meters. We'll kill Mu Yin. Dandan said. What did you say? Yeludi shouted, thinking that he had heard wrongly. At this time, Dandan actually made such a condition with him. Was he crazy? Didn't he know that his life was in his hands? You should have heard what I said very clearly. Dandan said. Do you think it's possible? Yeludi sneered. Why is it impossible? You should know Mu Yin. He is ruthless, lawless, and extremely selfish. Although I have some friendship with him, if I kill him, he will definitely kill us without hesitation in order to protect himself. I am risking my life to kill him. Shouldn't I get some reward? Dandan said. In the distance, Lu Ming was speechless. Bullshit! Yeludi wanted to curse out loud. Dandan was talking nonsense. They had long since investigated Lu Ming and knew that Lu Ming was an extremely loyal person. He would definitely not attack his own people, especially Ling Yue, who was Lu Ming's fiancée. They were certain that Lu Ming wouldn't make a move, which was why they let Dandan and Ling Yue kill Lu Ming. Little bastard, hurry up and go. You have no right to negotiate with me. Yeludi berated. You don't want to give it to me, right? If you don't want to give it to me, then activate the power of the restriction and kill us right now. Let's see how you're going to kill Mu Yin after you kill us. You must know that the merit of killing him is far more than the value of these pill furnaces. Dandan said as he crossed his arms, looking like he was saying, Kill me if you want. Ling Yue also nodded her head, as if Dandan's intentions were her intentions. Damned ant! Yeludi roared in his heart as killing intent burst out from his body. He wished that he could kill Dandan and Ling Yue with 2 slaps, but he couldn't. He had to rely on Dandan and Ling Yue to kill Lu Ming. Above the earth vein, Lu Ming was also somewhat puzzled. He couldn't guess what Dandan's goal was. However, he understood Dandan and knew that Dandan was very smart. There must be a reason for him to do this. Agree to him first. At this time, another heavenly human clan genius said. This person was a woman with waist-length blonde hair. She was extremely beautiful. At this time, a peerless genius who was not weaker than Yeludi also had a combat strength of 10 stars. Amongst the younger generation of geniuses in the heavenly human clan, having a combat strength of 10 stars was the highest talent below the son of heaven or the daughter of heaven. Give it to him. Yeludi asked in return. That's right, we've investigated it very clearly. Although Mu Yan's talent is high, he has a huge weakness, which is that he values friendship. He definitely won't kill this world god turtle and Ling Yue, so the final result will definitely be Mu Yan's death. After killing Lu Ming, there's no need to keep these 2 people alive. So what if we give them the pill furnace first? When the time comes, won't it be easy to get it back? The heavenly human clan woman said. Of course. She said this through sound transmission to avoid being heard by Dandan. That's right. Yeludi's eyes lit up. He then looked at Dandan and said, I can agree to your conditions. After saying that, he took out a storage ring fiddled with it a few times, and threw it at Dandan, saying, "There are 300 pill furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter and Master's pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters. Take a look." Dandan received it and scanned it with his spiritual sense, revealing a trace of a smile. Inside, there were indeed 310 pill furnaces. Dandan kept them in his storage ring and then looked at Ling Yue. Then he looked at Lu Ming. "Mu Yin, for the sake of our many years of friendship, you should give up your life. This way, you can still save your fiancé's life." Dandan shouted and rushed towards Lu Ming. Ling Yue followed closely beside Dandan and walked side by side. However, after the two of them rushed out for a distance, they stopped. After Dandan stopped, he waved his hands continuously. Countless runes filled the air and entered the void. These runes intertwined with each other to form a huge formation. "What are you doing? Why are you setting up a formation here? Why aren't you going to kill Mu Yin?" Yeludi berated. "What are you in such a hurry for? Do you think Mu Yin is so easy to kill? I set up the formation to kill him." Dandan said and continued to set up the formation. The people of celestial race could only wait. Lu Ming watched from afar and frowned. He could not figure out Dandan's goal, but in his heart he had a bad premonition. More than 10 minutes later, a huge array diagram appeared in the sky. A huge array was condensed. "Attack!" Dandan and Ling Yue looked at each other, shouted, and began to attack. The array diagram in the sky emitted a dazzling light and condensed into a spear. With a swoosh, the spear flew through the air at an extremely fast speed. However, this long spear was not aimed at Lu Ming. Instead, it was aimed at Yeludi. When Dandan made his move, Ling Yue also made her move. Behind her, a towering tree appeared. At this moment, the towering tree burned fiercely, turning into an endless amount of strength chi that poured into Ling Yue's body. A battle bow appeared in Ling Yue's hand. She drew the bow and an arrow condensed. With a swoosh, it flew through the air and shot towards Yeludi. Ling Yue was going all out with this arrow. She burned her divine power with all her might. The cultivation of the two of them had already reached the 8th level of the Divine Lord Realm. This was far beyond Lu Ming's expectations. In fact, the reason why Dandan and Ling Yue's cultivations were able to make such great progress was completely due to the nurturing of the celestial race. The people of the celestial race wanted to control the two of them to kill Lu Ming, so they gave them a large amount of desolate pills to raise their cultivation. Their cultivation was too low. Even if Lu Ming wanted them to kill him, they wouldn't be able to. The purpose of giving Dandan and Ling Yue a large amount of resources to raise their cultivation was to kill Lu Ming. They never thought that the two of them would attack them instead. End of chapter. Chapter 4371. You are courting death. Yeludi roared as a long spear condensed in his palm. The long spear shook and turned into 2 spear shadows, colliding with Dandan and Ling Wei's attacks, easily destroying their attacks. Yeludi's cultivation was at the 9th level of the Emperor God Realm, and he had a battle strength of 10 stars. Although Dandan and Ling Wei had reached the 8th level of the Emperor God Realm and were using their full strength, they were still far from Yeludi's strength. "Mu Yin, here you go." At this moment, Dandan waved his hand, and a storage ring flew towards Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. Then Dandan and Ling Wei shouted and rushed towards Yeludi. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He finally guessed what Dandan and Ling Wei's goal was. They didn't plan to attack Lu Ming at all. From the beginning, they had the heart to die. They would rather die than attack Lu Ming. They understood Lu Ming very well. If they attacked Lu Ming would most likely not fight back. They would definitely not kill Lu Ming. Their only choice was to sacrifice themselves, turning to attack Yeludi and the others. Their fate was already decided. "Stop, I'll give you one more chance. Stop, or your body and soul will be destroyed." Yeludi roared. So much nonsense. You're the one who's going to die. Dandan shouted as he controlled the formation and continued to attack. Ling Yue, on the other hand, did not say a word. She drew her bow and another arrow flew out. Despicable bastards, since you're courting death, then die for me. Yelu Di roared as the formation plate in his hand emitted a dazzling light. He had already activated the formation and activated the restrictive power in Dandan and Ling Yue's bodies. The restrictive power of the Heavenly Palace armor spread into every cell in their bodies. At this moment, it burst out from every cell. A wave of energy spread out from their bodies like flames, burning fiercely. Their bodies started to crumble under this power. Damn it, stop! Lu Ming roared. His eyes were about to pop out of their sockets as he rushed out to help. However, it was already too late. The power of the restrictions on the Heavenly Palace battle armor exploded too quickly. Dandan and Ling Yue's bodies were quickly dissipating like a wisp of dust that was blown away by the wind. By the time Lu Ming rushed out of the earth vein, the bodies of the two had already completely collapsed. There were only 2 balls of light floating in the air. These 2 balls of light were the souls of Dandan's duo. However, the power of the Heavenly Palace armor was too terrifying. Not only could it destroy the body, but it could also destroy the soul. At this moment, their souls were also burning like flames, as if they would be destroyed at any moment. But at this time, runes suddenly spread out from their souls. These runes interweaved into a mysterious pattern, enveloping the souls of the 2 people within. At the same time, the void began to ripple like water. This power enveloped the souls of both of them. Under the dual effects of the rune and the rune formation, the restrictive power was suppressed, and the souls of the 2 men stopped disintegrating. However, although their souls had stopped disintegrating, their eyes were tightly shut. There was no movement at all, nor was there any sign of life. Lu Ming's heart sank. At the same time, he pushed his speed to the limit and rushed towards Dandan and Ling Yue's souls, wanting to protect their souls. Yelu Di and the rest of the heavenly human race were stunned at first. In their opinion, as long as they activated the power of the restriction, the 2 of them would die. Whether it was their bodies or souls, they would not be left behind and would vanish into thin air. However, their souls seemed to be protected by 2 forces. What was going on? However, they quickly reacted. No matter what kind of power you have, you will be destroyed today. Not a single trace can be left behind. Yelu Di said coldly. He took a step forward and attacked Dandan and Ling Yue's souls. A violent power erupted, wanting to completely crush their souls. Scram! Lu Ming roared. His eyes were about to split open as he used the heaven-splitting style. His body turned into a spear light and stabbed towards Yelu Di. Mu Yin! Yelu Di's eyes burst into flames. He directly abandoned Dandan and Ling Yue's souls and turned to attack Lu Ming. His target was originally Lu Ming. Now, Lu Ming had actually taken the initiative to leave the earth vein and leave the protection. How could he miss this opportunity? Holding the spear in his hand, he stabbed towards Lu Ming like an invincible war god. The spear light and the spear collided in the air, erupting with an earth-shattering boom. The spear light that Lu Ming had transformed into trembled continuously. In the next moment, it directly collapsed. Lu Ming's body shook violently as he retreated explosively. In a head-on confrontation, Lu Ming was no match for him. The other party had 10 stars of battle strength. His overall battle strength was 1 star higher than Lu Ming's. Kill! Yelu Di roared. His spear did not stop. It turned into thousands of spear shadows and attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming blocked a few moves in a row. Unfortunately, he was no match for him. He coughed out blood and retreated. If he had not mastered many ancient secret techniques, his body would have been pierced by the spear. Even so, he was incomparably embarrassed. Yelu Di, do you want to take all the benefits for yourself? Mu Yin, leave it to me. The heavenly human tribewoman also rushed over at this moment. She held a long sword in her hand, and thousands of sword shadows stabbed towards Lu Ming. This woman's battle strength was no weaker than Yeludi's. She also wanted to kill Lu Ming. This was a great merit. How could she let Yeludi enjoy it alone? Facing the power of two experts, even if Lu Ming had mastered many secret techniques and had many adaptations, it was still very dangerous. He barely managed to block a few moves. His body was swept by a sword light and was almost split in half. "Die for me!" The heavenly human tribewoman shouted coldly. She wanted to kill Lu Ming in one go. However, at this moment, a sword light suddenly shot out from the other side and blocked the heavenly human tribewoman's sword light. It was Yiling. Just now, when Lu Ming moved, he also rushed out. However, he was one step slower and arrived just in time. "Traitor Yiling, do you want to die?" The heavenly human tribewoman obviously knew Yiling. She shouted coldly, and the sharp sword light went straight for Yiling's forehead. Yiling pushed his battle strength to the extreme and counterattacked with all his might. The two sword lights fought fast and collided more than 10 times in an instant. However, Yiling's combat power was also 1 star lower than his opponent's. He was no match for him. After a dozen exchanges, he was hit by a sword beam. A deep sword wound appeared on his chest, dripping with blood. "Kill! Kill!" Yeludi, the heavenly human tribewoman, and even the other experts of the heavenly human tribe all attacked. They charged towards Lu Ming together, wanting to kill Lu Ming and obtain the greatest merit. With so many people attacking together, and several of them were experts of the same level as Yeludi, Lu Ming definitely could not avoid them. End of chapter. Chapter 4372. There were at least 4 experts who were at the same level as Yeludi. Lu Ming could not handle one of them, let alone the 4 of them. Lu Ming was no match for them at all. Even with Yiling, it was useless. He could not avoid them even if he wanted to. It seemed that Lu Ming and Yiling were about to be in danger. All of a sudden, ripples spread through the air like water. First, the souls of Dandan and Ling Yue flickered and disappeared from their original positions. Then Yeludi and the others seemed to have fallen into a quagmire. They were greatly hindered and their bodies slowed down. Space-time power. Who is it? Come out. Yeludi roared and the heavenly annihilation power erupted. The long spear swept across and there was an explosion in the void. The force was forcibly split open. The other experts also used their strongest heavenly force to break open the force. It's really space-time power. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. His eyes flashed. He was very familiar with the space-time power. It came from bubbles. Could it be there was no time to think? Lu Ming shouted, "Let's go!" At this moment, Yeludi and the others were disturbed by the space-time power. It was a good opportunity to escape. Lu Ming and Yiling took the opportunity to leave their original positions. They appeared thousands of miles away and escaped the encirclement. "You want to leave? Go to hell!" Yeludi roared and held the long spear in his hand. His entire body was shrouded in the heavenly annihilation power. He was like a destructive god of war. He chased after Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. As soon as Lu Ming escaped the encirclement, Yeludi had already arrived. The other 3 experts of the same level were not slow either. 3 attacks were aimed at Lu Ming's vital points. However, as soon as their attacks were launched, the space around them rippled again. The space was like water, filled with layers of ripples. It was as if time had frozen in that area. This was an extremely powerful space-time power. It pressed down on the people of the heavenly human tribe and slowed their movements. Lu Ming and Yiling took the opportunity to dodge the attacks again. "How dare you meddle in our affairs? Get out here!" A burly prodigy of the heavenly human tribe wielded a heavy battle sword and slashed at a spot in the void. A huge sword light slashed out violently, and a huge explosion occurred in the void. A petite figure suddenly appeared in the void in front of him. She seemed to be surrounded by layers of space, as if she was not in this space-time. The sword light slashed out, but it was unable to hit the figure. Instead, it was exploited by the space-time power layer by layer and finally disappeared. Bubbles, Lu Ming exclaimed in surprise. That's right, this petite figure was Bubbles. Lu Ming definitely wouldn't be mistaken. They hadn't seen each other for many years. Even though Bubble had grown up a lot and looked like a 15 or 16-year-old girl, Lu Ming still recognized her at a glance. The aura of the origin of life wouldn't change. Bubbles' figure flickered and disappeared from the primordial world. In the next moment, it appeared beside Lu Ming. "Big brother Lu Ming!" Bubble exclaimed in surprise. She actually recognized Lu Ming. Moreover, she used the voice transmission method, as if she was afraid that others would know. "Bubble, why are you here? How did you recognize me?" Lu Ming couldn't help but ask. "So you're a space-time spirit mouse. How dare you? Space-time spirit mice. Are you trying to annihilate your tribe?" Yellow shouted coldly. His killing intent was cold, and his eyes flashed with a cold light. They recognized Bubbles' true form at a glance. "I'll explain later. Let's retreat first," Bubbles said. The space-time power spread out and brought Lu Ming and Yi Ling back to the Earth vein. "You want to retreat? You can't. Kill." The 4 top prodigies of the heavenly human tribe attacked at the same time. They attacked Lu Ming, Bubble, and the others. In addition, there were more than a dozen experts of the heavenly human tribe who were weaker. These second-rate experts were also very terrifying. Every one of them could fight with Lu Ming and Yi Ling. Any one of them could threaten their lives. With so many experts attacking at the same time, Lu Ming and the group felt a deadly sense of crisis. "Space-time!" At this moment, Bubble shouted. Her delicate body emitted a powerful aura. 9th layer divine god realm. Lu Ming realized that Bubble's cultivation had reached the 9th layer divine god realm. This was shocking. One must know that when Bubble and Dandan had left together, Bubble's cultivation was not very high back then. Her cultivation was even inferior to Dandan's. However, Bubble's cultivation had now far surpassed Dandan's. Bubble must have had an amazing, fortuitous encounter. When Lu Ming participated in the selection of heavenly soldiers in the Heavenly Palace, he met Dandan but did not see Bubble. Lu Ming was very curious and had asked Dandan where Bubble was. Dandan had said that Bubble had entered one of the ancestral lands of the space-time spirit mice. That was all. Lu Ming knew that Bubble had entered one of the ancestral lands of the space-time spirit mice. He didn't know anything else. So many years had passed in the blink of an eye. They hadn't seen each other until now, but Bubble had already shown her amazing cultivation. Not only did Bubble show her cultivation of the 9th layer divine god realm, but at the same time her glabella emitted a dazzling light. Then 2 words flew out. One was time and the other was space. The 2 words flew up into the sky and rapidly became bigger. Each word was as big as a planet and emitted a mysterious aura. The time and space of this area and this world seemed to be controlled by the 2 words. These are the origin ancient words time and space. Lu Ming was astonished. He recognized the 2 words at a glance. They were the origin ancient words. Bubble had controlled 2 origin ancient words. The most shocking thing was that they were time and space. They were compatible with Bubble's talent. The power they could unleash was unpredictable. Lu Ming was even more certain that Bubble had encountered an amazing, fortuitous encounter. Whoosh! The space in this area was constantly distorted and then squeezed toward Yellow and the others. To be honest, Yellow and the others were shocked when they saw Bubble use the 2 origin ancient words. However, they quickly reacted. "Do you think you can stop us with just the origin ancient words? Break! Even the power of space-time has to yield to the power of heaven. The heavenly human tribes, sky prides, roared, and the power of heaven burst out and swept in all directions. The power of heaven was indeed powerful. Even though Bubble was supported by the two origin ancient words, and the power of space-time was terrifyingly strong, it was still broken by them. However, the heavenly human tribes members were still greatly affected. Bubble's strength was beyond their expectations. With the two origin ancient words as the foundation and her talent, she was able to compete with Yellow-D, who had a 10-star battle strength. If she was just a support, she could unleash more power. Attack! Lu Ming and Bubble's tacit understanding was still there. When he saw that the heavenly human tribes members were affected, he immediately attacked with all his strength. He turned into a spear light and stabbed toward Yellow-D. End of chapter. Chapter 43-73. Lu Ming activated the sky-splitting form to the maximum and turned into a spear radiance, stabbing towards Yellow-D. Break it! Yellow-D roared and swung his spear, breaking through the space-time power and colliding with the spear radiance that Lu Ming had turned into. This time, Yellow-D did not gain the upper hand. They were evenly matched. Both of them took a step back. Although Yellow-D had broken through the space-time power, he was still greatly affected. His combat strength was reduced, and he could no longer suppress Lu Ming. At the same time, Yiling also took action and blocked the attack of the female heavenly human tribe's supreme talent. However, there were other experts from the heavenly human tribe who charged towards Lu Ming and the rest. There were too many of them. Even with Bubble's space-time power, Lu Ming and the rest were still no match for them. However, at this moment, there was a terrifying sound of the air being torn apart. There were 8 attacks in total, and each attack was of a different color. However, their power was extremely shocking. These 8 attacks were directed towards the heavenly human tribe. This is the power of 9 orifices, sacred heart. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He was very familiar with this power. It was Autumn Moon's power of 9 orifices, sacred heart. Indeed, Lu Ming looked around and saw a figure in the distance. Her entire body was shrouded in colorful light. If it was not Autumn Moon, who else could it be? It was obvious that Autumn Moon was not in this star palace previously, but in another star palace. Now, she must have crossed over to this star palace. The power of Autumn Moon's attack was extremely terrifying. Those who were hit by the colorful light were forced to retreat. In a flash, Autumn Moon arrived at the battlefield. She looked at Lu Ming with joy. Another one who is courting death. It's her, the traitor of the heavenly palace, the disciple of Master God Meng Su. Very well. Since they're all here, let's get rid of them together. Yellow-D and the rest shouted coldly. Some of them charged towards Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon, be careful! Lu Ming shouted. Autumn Moon smiled. His heart emitted a resplendent glow. There were 9 colors, but 8 of them were extremely dazzling. It was as if there was a colorful sun in his chest. 8 types of dazzling light intertwined together to form a colorful scimitar that slashed toward the heavenly human tribe prodigy. Boom! The 8-colored scimitar collided with the heavenly human race's prodigy. The heavenly human race's prodigy's body trembled violently and retreated rapidly. A saber wound appeared on his arm, and it was almost chopped off. The prodigy of the heavenly human tribe was no match for Autumn Moon. Even Lu Ming was stunned for a moment. Autumn Moon, what powerful strength! Lu Ming's heart thumped violently. That young genius from the heavenly human clan was one of the 4 strongest young geniuses there. He had the strength of the 9th great supreme god layer and 10 stars of battle prowess. Such an expert was actually suppressed by Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon also has 10 stars of battle prowess, and his cultivation has reached the 9th great supreme god layer. Lu Ming judged Autumn Moon's battle prowess and cultivation level. He was truly shocked. It seemed that Autumn Moon had also obtained great opportunities in the other astral palaces. When Lu Ming first met Autumn Moon after leaving the Heavenly Palace, Autumn Moon's 9 orifices, Sacred Heart, only had one color that was extremely dazzling. But now, Qiuyu had a total of 8 orifices that were releasing powerful energy. There were 8 different colors, and they were incomparably dazzling. The power of the 9 orifices, Sacred Heart, was almost fully unleashed. Autumn Moon's battle prowess was not any weaker than Yaludi's. It could be said that they were on the same level. Autumn Moon was able to gain the upper hand and injure the Heavenly Human Tribe's prodigy with one strike because of Bubble's space-time energy. Sister Autumn Moon, you're so powerful. Let's continue, Bubble shouted excitedly and continued to activate the 2 origin ancient words. The space-time energy continued to suppress the people of the Heavenly Human Tribe. At the same time, Autumn Moon attacked. The power of the 9 orifices, Sacred Heart, turned into a machete and slashed out continuously. The sky was filled with colorful light. In addition, Lu Ming and Yi Ling also attacked with all their might. For a moment, the people of the Heavenly Human Tribe were forced to retreat. Damn it! The people of the Heavenly Human Tribe roared in anger. On the surface, their battle prowess was clearly above Lu Ming's, but in reality, they were at a disadvantage. This was mainly because of the space-time energy. The space-time energy was too much of a hindrance to them. The space-time energy could be said to be the strongest auxiliary power, especially when it was supported by the 2 origin ancient words, time and space. The power that burst out was even more shocking. Even the supreme power of the Heavenly Human Tribe could not break through it so easily. It did not mean that the space-time energy was stronger than the supreme power of the Heavenly Human Tribe. The space-time energy of an ordinary space-time spirit mouse was far from that strong. It was definitely not comparable to the 4 supreme powers of the Heavenly Human Tribe. However, Bubble was different. Bubble's talent was very high. With the help of the 2 origin ancient words, the space-time energy had undergone a qualitative change. It was no longer weaker than the supreme power. Being affected by the space-time energy, it was difficult for her to fully display her battle prowess. On the other hand, Autumn Moon's battle prowess could be fully displayed. Naturally, she could suppress the Heavenly Human Tribe. No matter how angry the people of the Heavenly Human Tribe were, they could not change the fact. They kept retreating. Some of the weaker ones were even injured and almost died here. Formation! 9 Heavens Battle Formation! Yaludi shouted at the strong men of the Heavenly Human Tribe. There were hundreds of strong men of the Heavenly Human Tribe in the surroundings. At this moment, they began to move, preparing to set up the 9 Heavens Battle Formation to deal with Lu Ming and the others. Bubble, bring us to destroy their formation. Lu Ming said to Bubble. Okay, Bubble replied. The space-time energy enveloped Lu Ming and the others. In a flash, Lu Ming and the others appeared among the Heavenly Human Tribe. Then, the power of time and space exploded, and the void distorted, forming a powerful pressure. The strong men of the Heavenly Human Tribe suddenly felt like they were in a quagmire. They tried their best, but their movements were as slow as a turtle's. There was a big gap between their strength and Bubble's. Naturally, it was not easy for them to break through Bubble's space-time energy. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. Spear radiance burst out, and instantly, 6 strong men of the 9th layer Divine God Realm were pierced through their foreheads by the spear radiance. They died immediately. At the same time, Yi Ling and Autumn Moon also attacked mercilessly. A wave of attacks killed more than 10 strong men of the Heavenly Human Tribe. Under the influence of the space-time energy, they could not set up the 9 Heavens Battle Formation because there was not enough time. Damn it! Yaludi and the others were furious. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they could not wait to cut Lu Ming and the others into pieces. Unfortunately, they could not do it with their strength. Retreat, retreat. In the end, Yaludi and the others had no choice but to give the order to retreat. They rushed over and broke through the space-time energy. In the blink of an eye, they were far away. They had come with such a big force, but in the end, they ran away in a sorry state. After the heavenly human tribe left, Lu Ming and the others returned to the Earth vein. After all, there were 4 big trees guarding it, so it was safer. Chapter 4374. Big Brother Lu Ming, long time no see. I missed you so much. Bubbles directly hung on Lu Ming's neck, just like before. Cough, cough, Bubbles. Be reserved, be reserved. You've grown up now. You're different from before. Lu Ming quickly coughed a few times, his old face slightly red. Humph, if Big Brother Lu Ming dislikes Bubbles, then just make them smaller. Bubbles jumped down from Lu Ming's neck and pouted. Her cute little face was filled with displeasure. How could that be? How could I dislike Bubbles? Lu Ming rubbed Bubbles' head and quickly changed the topic, asking, Bubbles, how did you recognize me? Am I a completely different person now? This was his present body, but Bubbles was able to recognize him at a glance. Furthermore, she directly helped him and offended the celestial race. This made him very curious. It was that guy Dandin who told me. Bubbles said, Dandin. At the mention of Dandin, Lu Ming's heart immediately sank, and he said, Bubbles, how are Dandin and the others? Quickly take them out and let's see. Bubbles nodded. With a wave of his hand, Dandin and Ling Yue's souls appeared in the air. Both of their souls had their eyes tightly shut. Their souls were covered in layers of runes, and at the same time they were enveloped by the power of time and space. It seemed that the situation was not good. Dandin used a formation to protect his soul, and then with my power of time and space, he temporarily suppressed the power of the restriction in his soul. However, he couldn't suppress it for long. In at most 3 years, their souls would also turn into ashes. Bubbles said, What? It can only be suppressed for 3 years? Lu Ming's heart shook violently, and his expression became even uglier. In 3 years, it will vanish into thin air. Is there no way to save it? Lu Ming asked. Yes, Dandin told me a method before. Bubbles said, Dandin told you a method? Could it be that Dandin had anticipated this? Lu Ming asked. Yes, actually, Dandin had anticipated this day ever since he found out about your relationship with the Heavenly Palace. Later on, they were controlled into the Taishang Immortal City, and Dandin began to make arrangements. One time, he happened to meet me and told me about your situation. He also told me that the Heavenly Human Tribe would definitely use them to deal with you, Big Brother Lu Ming, so he had a backup plan. He set up a formation in his and Sister Yue's souls in advance. He asked me to help him with the power of time and space to buy time for them. I'll have to rely on you for the rest. Bubbles said. What does Dandin want me to do? Lu Ming asked. Dandin told me that before entering the Taishang Immortal City, he had read a lot of information and the experience passed down by the seniors of the Black Tortoise clan. He knew that there was an immortal mountain in the Tiankue Star Palace, and there was a treasure called the 5 Elemental Fairy Tear. As long as you can get the 5 Elemental Fairy Tear, you can save them, Bubbles said. Tiankue Star Palace, 5 Elemental Fairy Tear? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a shocking light. He had to get it. Dandin was indeed a cunning old fox. He had left a way out for himself. Otherwise, how could he die so easily? Dandin had already made arrangements, and he would definitely complete the rest. There's no time to lose. I plan to set off immediately to the Tiankue Star Palace to look for the 5 Elemental Fairy Tear. Lu Ming said. Young master, I'll go with you. Chiu, you said immediately. Big Brother Lu Ming, don't think about leaving me behind. Bubbles also said immediately. Their attitude was firm, and it was obvious that Lu Ming could not refuse. Brother Lu, how about this? I'll stay here and help you refine the desolation pills. Yi Ling said with a smile. Thank you. Lu Ming cupped his fists, feeling very grateful. Yi Ling knew him very well. Lu Ming's current cultivation was still a little weak. He was only in the 8th layer of the Great Supreme God Realm. Only when he broke through to the 9th layer of the Great Supreme God Realm would he be truly powerful and fearless. However, Lu Ming needed too many desolation pills to break through to the 9th layer of the Great Supreme God Realm. A total of 12 billion. If they all went to the Tiankuei star area to look for the 5 elemental fairy tier, who would help Lu Ming refine the pills? What would Lu Ming use to break through? Yi Ling knew this very well. That was why he did not say that he wanted to look for the 5 elemental fairy tier. Instead, he said that he wanted to help Lu Ming refine the pills. This would be a great help to Lu Ming. After all, there was not much time left before they left the 2nd level of the Taishang Immortal City. Brother Lu Ming, I also have many pill furnaces here. Take them. Bubbles waved his hand, and a large pile of pill furnaces flew out. There were no less than 300 of them. Bubble alone actually had so many pill furnaces. This was too shocking. However, after thinking about it, it made sense. The space-time energy was too mysterious. It might not be the strongest in terms of offense, but in other aspects it was extremely mysterious. With the space-time energy, it would be much easier for him to obtain pill furnaces than others. Young master, I have some too. Autumn Moon also took out her pill furnaces. Autumn Moon did not have many pill furnaces, only a little more than 100. Lu Ming did not stand on ceremony. He took all of them and handed them to Yi Ling. With so many pill furnaces, he should be able to gather enough desolation pills in 10 years. Even if it was not enough, it would not be too far away. Brother Yi, I'll leave this place to you, Lu Ming said. It's okay. With the 4 trees, they can't do anything to me. Yi Ling smiled. Then I'll take my leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists and gave the 4 trees an order. Then he left with Bubbles and Autumn Moon. After Lu Ming and the other 2 left, they purposely revealed their whereabouts to the heavenly human tribe. He did this to prevent the heavenly human tribe from gathering their forces and besieging the earth vein in the future. The 4 trees alone might not be able to stop them. However, after he left, the heavenly human tribe would not have to risk their lives to besiege the earth vein. That way, Yi Ling could refine the desolation pills in peace. It would affect whether he could break through to the 9th level of the divine God realm. He could not be careless. Not long after, Lu Ming and the others came to an open space. Autumn Moon and Bubbles had crossed the starry sky barrier to come here. Naturally, they knew where the space was weaker. The space here was weaker, and it was easier to break through the barrier. I'll go first, Bubbles cried out. With a wave of her little hand, the space was forcefully torn apart. Brother Lu Ming, I'll go first, Bubbles said. She took a step forward and disappeared into the space. Apparently, she had entered another star palace. Young master, you go first. Autumn Moon looked at Lu Ming. All right, Lu Ming nodded. Forbidden energy burst out and his palm slashed down like a knife. One could not bring others to cross the barrier of the star palace. The person who broke through the barrier could only pass through and could not bring others with him. Bubbles burst, and only she could pass through. She could not bring Lu Ming and Autumn Moon with her. If Lu Ming and Autumn Moon wanted to pass through, they could only do it themselves. Swoosh! Lu Ming's palm slashed down, and the space was torn apart. Chapter 43, 75. With Lu Ming's current strength, it was not difficult for him to break the barrier between the star palaces. He found that as long as he had the battle strength of a 5th star emperor god, he could break the barrier between the star palaces. Lu Ming took a step forward, stepped into the space crack, and disappeared. In the next moment, Lu Ming found himself in a new place. This should be the Brave Star Palace. Lu Ming thought. This was obviously not the Leader Star Palace. The Leader Star Palace was not next to the Mighty Star Palace. They had to pass through several other heavenly palaces to reach the Leader Star Palace. Bubbles was already waiting here. At this time, the void filled up and Autumn Moon's figure appeared. Then they turned into a few rays of light and left to find the weak point of the Brave Star Palace. The environment here is not much different from the profound Sky Star Palace. While flying, Lu Ming observed. The environment of the Brave Star Palace was not much different from the Mighty Star Palace. The aura was almost the same. It was also filled with a rich, desolate aura. Sometimes they could even see a earth vein. Soon, they arrived at a weak point in the space and continued to break through the void to enter the next star palace. Just like that, they arrived at the Leader Star Palace after a few transits. On the way, Lu Ming asked Qiuyu and Bubbles about what had happened to them during this period. The two of them had obtained great opportunities. Autumn Moon entered an immortal mansion in the most supreme immortal palace and obtained great opportunities. Her cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds, and she had opened 8 of the 9 orifices of the Sacred Heart, which had greatly increased its power. Lu Ming suddenly understood. No wonder Autumn Moon did not obtain many pill furnaces, but her cultivation had reached the 9th star Emperor God realm. It had a lot to do with the opportunities in the immortal mansion. Bubbles' opportunities in the most supreme immortal palace were very ordinary. However, Bubbles had obtained great opportunities in the primitive universe. She had obtained 2 origin ancient characters, and her cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. With that as a foundation and the mysterious power of time and space, she had obtained a large number of pill furnaces and refined a large number of primitive pills. Her cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. Each of them had their own fortuitous encounters. Look, the 5 elements immortal mountain, Bubbles suddenly shouted. Lu Ming looked ahead. Indeed, there was a mountain in front of them. The mountain was actually floating in the air. The mountain had 5 colors: gold, red, blue, green, and yellow. They corresponded with the colors of the 5 elements. This was the 5 elements immortal mountain, their destination. This 5 phases immortal mountain appeared about 5 or 6 years ago. It's a miraculous place in the Heavenly Stalwarts planetary system. Supposedly, it contains incredible good fortune that can help people gain enlightenment of the Tao. Many people have already gone inside, including some chosen who came from other planetary palaces. Bubbles explained. This was an area similar to the hidden area, both of which had appeared later on. It was just that the fortuitous encounters were different. Without any hesitation, the 3 of them flew toward the 5 elements immortal mountain. The closer they got to the 5 elements immortal mountain, the more they felt that the mountain was vast and boundless. Their bodies also became smaller and smaller. In fact, it was not that they had become smaller, but that the 5 elements immortal mountain was too big. In the end, the 3 of them were like dust and planets compared to the 5 elements immortal mountain. The 5 elements immortal mountain was actually made up of 5 parts. There was a mountain for each color. The 5 mountains were side by side, forming a complete 5 elements immortal mountain. Moreover, the first mountain to enter was the first mountain, the Flame Immortal Mountain. Only by passing through the Flame Immortal Mountain could one enter the next mountain. Only by passing through all 5 mountains could one reach the final place and obtain the 5 elements immortal tier. When the 3 of them were a certain distance away from the Flame Immortal Mountain, a strong suction force pulled Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and Bubbles toward the Flame Immortal Mountain. The 3 of them followed the force and arrived at the surface of the Flame Immortal Mountain. They stopped on an open space. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Billowing heat waves swept toward them. It was incomparably hot and the temperature was shockingly high. The 3 of them had to circulate their chi to resist the heat waves. At that moment, a dazzling light suddenly emitted from the top of their heads. At the same time, a halo appeared. In the next moment, the halo condensed into a bracelet. There were 3 identical bracelets. Each of them had one bracelet on their head. There were 5 holes on the bracelets, corresponding to 5 different colors: light red, light blue, light yellow, light gold, and light green. They corresponded to the 5 elements. As expected, Dandin said, this is a 5 elements bracelet. It can absorb the 5 elements soul energy. In the 5 elements immortal mountain, every mountain has a 5 elements soul beast. Killing these 5 elements soul beasts will absorb the 5 elements soul beast soul energy. The light red hole absorbs the 5 elements soul energy of the fire element. Only when it is full can one enter the next mountain. Moreover, after it is full, one can exchange it for a type of 5 elements immortal energy. This 5 elements immortal energy is incomparably mysterious. After absorbing it, one will have a great transformation. Bubbles explained. In the end, he even explained that this was all what Dandin had told him. It could be said that every mountain was equivalent to an opportunity because, after each hole was full, one could exchange it for a strand of 5 elements immortal energy. Then let's begin, Lu Ming said. He did not want to waste any time. His figure rose into the air, looked around, and began to search for the 5 elements soul beasts. Previously, this flaming mountain looked like a huge mountain from afar. After entering the flaming mountain, they realized that this place was no different from a world. As far as the eye could see, there were mountains, peaks, and valleys everywhere. Other than that, there was nothing to see. There were no plants or other creatures. The 3 of them randomly chose a direction and sped away. They spread out their spiritual senses to search for the 5 elements soul beasts. However, after searching for a long time, they did not find a single 5 elements soul beast. They continued to search. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. They still did not find a single 5 elements soul beast. This made the 3 of them frown. If they couldn't find the 5 elements soul beast, then the 5 elements soul energy in the bracelet wouldn't be enough and they wouldn't be able to enter the next 5 elements mountain. This way, they wouldn't be able to obtain the 5 elements immortal tears and save Dandin and Lingyue. What's going on? Bubbles, do you still remember what other clues Dandin mentioned? Lu Ming asked Bubbles. Yes, Dandin said that the 5 elements immortal mountain starts from the blazing immortal mountain, then the yellow earth immortal mountain, then the green wood immortal mountain. The 5 elements soul beasts of the 5 immortal mountains are getting stronger and more dangerous. However, it's not absolute. It's just an average level. Some of the 5 elements soul beasts of the blazing immortal mountain are also very powerful. Bubbles explained in detail what Dandin had told her about the 5 elements immortal mountain. Lu Ming listened carefully and analyzed. Chapter 4376. In that case, most of the ordinary soul beasts in this flaming immortal mountain have been hunted by others. Lu Ming frowned. The 5 elements immortal mountain had been open for 5 or 6 years. Many people had probably entered. The ordinary 5 elements soul beasts had most likely been hunted by those who came in early. Are there any powerful 5 elements soul beasts left? Chiu Yu asked. It's possible. The ordinary 5 elements soul beasts have been hunted, but there are very powerful 5 elements soul beasts in every mountain. They are extremely difficult to hunt. We might be able to find them, Bubbles said. All right, then we'll look for hidden and dangerous places. Those powerful 5 elements soul beasts should be in those hidden and dangerous places, Lu Ming said. Then they began to look for those dangerous and hidden places. Not long after, they found the 5 elements soul beasts. In a dangerous mountain stream, there was some fiery red liquid. This fiery red liquid emitted a scorching heat. There were a few strange beasts that looked like pythons, but their heads were lion heads and eagle claws on their abdomens. They were swimming in the fiery red liquid. At a glance, they saw 3 of them. These were the 5 elements soul beasts of the flaming immortal mountain. Roar! Upon seeing Lu Ming and the other 2, These 5 elements soul beasts roared like lions, shaking the mountains and rivers. Then they twisted their bodies and soared into the air, pouncing towards Lu Ming and the other 2, spitting out scorching flames from their mouths. The flames burned fiercely, and the temperature was shockingly high. "Let me." Bubbles pressed forward with her small hand, and the void distorted. The flames seemed to be frozen in the air. "Roar." Realizing that the flames they spat out were frozen, these 5-element soul beasts were abnormally furious. Their slender and huge bodies pounced towards Lu Ming and the other 2. The eagle claws on their abdomens continuously clawed out, grabbing the space-time power. The void rumbled and exploded continuously. Bubbles' space-time power actually felt like it was about to be torn apart. So strong! Lu Ming and the other 2 had the same thought in their hearts. These 3 5-elements soul beasts were shockingly strong. Their cultivation should be at the 9th level of the divine god realm, and their battle strength should be at 9 stars. Yes, this was equivalent to a peerless genius of the heavenly human tribe. Any one of these 5-element soul beasts could contend with the current Lu Ming. No wonder the 3 5-element soul beasts had yet to be killed. How many people would be able to kill such a powerful soul beast? Dared to hunt them? Even among the heavenly human tribe, there weren't many who could kill these 3 5-element soul beasts, let alone other races in the primitive universe. However, it wasn't difficult for Lu Ming and the other 5-element soul beasts. "I'll suppress them. You guys kill," Bubbles said, and an even stronger space-time power erupted. Space kept twisting, and it was as though time was flowing backwards. This was because the space in the Grand Supreme Immortal City was too stable. It was extremely difficult to control it. If this was the great desolate universe, given Bubbles' attainments in the power of space-time, it would create a terrifying scene. A powerful space-time force pressed down on the 3 5-element soul beasts, causing their bodies to stiffen. Whoosh! Lu Ming and Chiu Moon turned into 2 bolts of lightning and attacked the 3 5-element soul beasts. Chiu Yu's heart was filled with resplendent light. 8 different colors turned into a curved blade and slashed at the 2 5-element soul beasts at the same time. Chiu Moon's battle strength had reached 10 stars, and her cultivation was at the 9th level of the divine god realm. Her battle strength was far above any of the 5-element soul beasts. The machete slashed, and the heads of the 2 5-element soul beasts flew high into the sky. At the same time, Lu Ming also used the sky-breaking form. He turned into a spear light and stabbed at the forehead of one of the 5-element soul beasts. Pooh! The spear light was like a drill. It drilled into the head of the 5-element soul beast and killed it. The 5-element soul beast was very strong. Under normal circumstances, it could definitely fight with Lu Ming. Lu Ming's battle strength was at the peak of 12 stars. His overall battle strength was stronger than the other party. In addition, the 5-element soul beast was suppressed by bubble space-time. It was not strange that it was killed by Lu Ming in one move. After killing the soul beast, a wisp of crimson light rushed out of the soul beast's body and rushed into the light red hole on the bracelet on Lu Ming's hand. The color of the hole immediately darkened. On the other hand, after Chiu Yu killed the 2 soul beasts, 2 wisps of crimson light rushed into the bracelet on her back. The color of the hole on her bracelet had also deepened. It was even darker than Lu Ming's bracelet. Lu Ming understood that this was the soul energy of the 5-element soul beasts. After absorbing this soul energy, the color of the hole would become darker. When it was filled, the light would be very bright. Now, it was not completely filled, but the color was slightly darker. Let's go. We will continue to look for the other 5-element soul beasts. Lu Ming said, since there were such powerful 5-element soul beasts left, it was best. If even these powerful 5-element soul beasts were killed, wouldn't they not be able to enter the next mountain? The 3 of them were about to leave. Suddenly, roar! In the mountain stream below, there was a sudden roar that shook the void and exploded. Then the scarlet liquid in the mountain stream crazily rolled and formed water pillars that rushed towards Lu Ming and the other two. "Be careful!" Lu Ming shouted and used his body as a spear. In an instant, hundreds of spear lights burst out and bombarded the water pillars formed by the red liquid. But when the spear lights collided with the water pillars, the spear lights shook violently and then scattered. Lu Ming's body trembled and couldn't help but take a few steps back. The power of these water pillars was shocking. At this time, Bubble also made a move. With a press of both hands, the space-time power erupted and formed layers of barriers in front of it. Boom, boom, boom. The water pillars continued to bombard the space-time power, causing it to tremble nonstop. Roar! A terrifying roar rang out, and under the crimson liquid, a huge monster appeared. This monster looked exactly the same as the 3 5-element soul beasts from before, but its body was bigger. This was also a 5-element soul beast, but it was stronger and gave off a more terrifying pressure. Roar! This 5-element soul beast roared and rushed towards Lu Ming and the other two. 6 eagle, talon-like, sharp claws on its abdomen continuously clawed at the space-time power. The space-time power began to tremble as if it couldn't withstand it. In the end, Bubble brought out the 2 origin ancient characters, but it couldn't stabilize and was constantly torn apart. What terrifying combat power! Lu Ming's heart couldn't help but skip a beat. This 5-element soul beast's cultivation was naturally at the 9th level of the divine god realm, but its combat power was terrifying. It should have 10 stars of combat power. Chapter 4377. This 5-element soul beast had astonishing combat strength. It definitely had a 10-star combat strength, and from the looks of it, it probably had the combat strength of a 10-star pinnacle combat strength. Roar! The 5-element soul beast kept roaring with cold killing intent. Its huge body kept twisting, and its sharp claws tore through the air. Bubble's space-time energy could not withstand it and was torn apart. At the same time, its body was wrapped in a layer of flame. This flame seemed to be able to burn everything, even the space-time energy. It was extremely terrifying. The space-time energy was the general name of the space-time energy and the space-time energy. It was mysterious and hard to understand. However, this flame was able to burn both space-time and time. This showed how terrifying it was. This further proved that this 5-element soul beast had the combat strength of a 10-star pinnacle combat strength. 8 orifices in 1 kill! Autumn Moon roared, and the 9 orifices, Sacred Heart, appeared in his chest. It beat violently like a drum. 9 rays of light turned into a scimitar and slashed towards the 5-element soul beast's head. Roar! The 5-element soul beast roared and clashed with the scimitar with its sharp claws. There was an earth-shattering explosion, and the force swept out in all directions. The crimson liquid kept exploding. Great binding art, great entanglement art. Lu Ming also made his move. All kinds of ancient secret techniques were used to trap the enemy. They shrouded the 5-element soul beast and tried to bind it. Lu Ming's strength was not as strong as the 5-element soul beast. However, with the help of Bubble's space-time energy, he could still cause some interference to the 5-element soul beast. Under the double suppression of Lu Ming and Bubble, the 5-element soul beast could not exert its full combat strength. Autumn Moon was able to suppress the 5-element soul beast. Autumn Moon activated the 9 orifices, Sacred Heart, and the scimitar slashed at the 5-element soul beast's neck. In the end, the 5-element soul beast was no match for the 3 of them. It was slashed by Autumn Moon over 100 times. Its neck was almost chopped off and its aura was weak. With Bubble's help, their strength had increased qualitatively. The space-time energy was the king of support. It was not just for show. None of them were a match for the 5-elemental soul beast. However, the 3 of them had managed to suppress the 5-elemental soul beast without paying any price. "Young master, you can kill this soul beast," Autumn Moon said to Lu Ming. Whoever killed the soul beast would be able to absorb its spiritual energy. Autumn Moon wanted to give this soul beast's spirit energy to Lu Ming. "All right." Lu Ming nodded and did not stand on ceremony. Dandan said that he would put his life in Lu Ming's hands. Obviously, he believed that Lu Ming was the most likely person to reach the end of the 5 elements Immortal Mountain. What if they didn't have enough soul energy on the blazing Immortal Mountain? Wouldn't that mean that they wouldn't be able to enter the second 5 elements Immortal Mountain? Therefore, the best arrangement was to let Lu Ming, who was the last to reach the finish line, absorb the soul energy first. Lu Ming used the sky splitter style and turned into a spear light that stabbed towards the 5-elemental soul beast's head. The 5-elemental soul beast's aura was already weak and weak. It couldn't withstand Lu Ming's attack and was killed directly. A wisp of vigorous soul energy flew out and was absorbed by Lu Ming's bracelet. The hole on the bracelet was even darker, and the red light was extremely dense. If this continued, Lu Ming felt that it wouldn't take much soul energy to fill it up. The main reason was that the 5-elemental soul beast was too strong. The stronger the 5-elemental soul beast, the denser the soul energy it contained. They didn't need to kill too many to gather enough soul energy. "Let's continue to look for soul beasts," Lu Ming said. This time, no soul beasts rushed out of the mountain stream. After they left, they continued to look for dangerous forces. Sure enough, after half a day, they found a few more soul beasts. These soul beasts looked more peculiar than the ones they had encountered before, and their strength was also very shocking. These soul beasts were all at the 9th layer of the divine god realm and 9 stars of battle strength. Although this kind of battle strength was very strong, they were easily killed by the 3 of them. This time, the soul energy was absorbed by Lu Ming again. After absorbing the soul energy, the hole on Lu Ming's bracelet was finally filled. It emitted a dazzling light like a resplendent ruby. Of course, they didn't stop. They continued to look for soul beasts to kill. Lu Ming wanted to fill up Autumn Moon and Bubble's bracelets too. On one hand, after filling up the bracelets, they would obtain a great opportunity. On the other hand, the more people there were, the higher their chances of success. The 3 of them continued to search. Fortunately, there were still some powerful soul beasts left in those remote and dangerous places. The 3 of them spent more than 10 days and finally succeeded. Their bracelets were all filled. At this time, the 3 of them went to the next Immortal Mountain. The next Immortal Mountain was the Yellow Earth Immortal Mountain. The 2 Immortal Mountains were connected by a suspension bridge. If they wanted to go to the next Immortal Mountain, they had to cross the suspension bridge. They couldn't fly over it. When the 3 of them reached the end of the bridge, their bracelets automatically flew out of the ruby-like hole on their bracelets. A strand of red energy flew out and spun in the air. It then turned into a strange energy and flew into Lu Ming's, Autumn Moon's, and Bubble's foreheads and disappeared. Lu Ming immediately felt that he had entered a state of emptiness. It was as if every pore on his body had opened up. His body and mind were extremely relaxed. At the same time, his understanding of the secret techniques increased at an astonishing speed. As long as Lu Ming focused on a certain secret technique, that secret technique would improve rapidly. In a short time, a secret technique that he had just learned had reached the great success level. Is this the 5 elements immortal energy? It's really mysterious. Lu Ming didn't waste any more time. He focused and started to comprehend the secret technique. A day later, the strand of 5 elements immortal energy completely disappeared. It had been used up. On the other hand, Lu Ming had cultivated at least 5,000 ordinary secret techniques to the great success level. Although the 5,000 secret techniques were only ordinary secret techniques, it still improved Lu Ming's forbidden force slightly. Lu Ming had a feeling that his strength had reached the 12-star level. He was not far away from a breakthrough. This is only one immortal mountain. If every immortal mountain has such benefits, it won't be a problem for my strength to reach the 13-star level. Lu Ming smiled. He then looked at Autumn Moon and Bubbles. Both of them were wearing smiles too. It was obvious that they had benefited a lot. Let's head to the Yellow Earth Immortal Mountain, Lu Ming said. The three stepped onto the suspension bridge and soon arrived at the Yellow Earth Immortal Mountain. The Yellow Earth Immortal Mountain was different from the fiery Immortal Mountain. It was covered in yellow soil and desert. The three of them repeated the same trick and began to search for the 5 elements spirit beasts. Chapter 4378. The three of them planned to continue searching for 5 elements soul beasts in desolate and dangerous places. But this time, they didn't fly very far before they were attacked. The ground exploded and several huge worms rushed out of the ground and attacked Lu Ming's group. They're only at the 6th Emperor Supreme God layer. Lu Ming's heart shook. Before he could do anything, Bubbles waved his hand and used a spatial slicing technique to kill the worms. After the worms were killed, a wisp of soul energy flew out and entered the light yellow hole on Bubbles' bracelet, causing the light yellow hole's color to darken a little. It seems like there are many ordinary soul beasts in this Yellow Earth Immortal Mountain, said Lu Ming. Every immortal mountain had 5 elements soul beasts with ordinary strength and 5 elements soul beasts with strong strength. In the blazing immortal mountain, the ordinary 5 elements soul beasts had been killed. Only the strong 5 elements soul beasts were left. But in this Yellow Earth Immortal Mountain, there were still many ordinary 5 elements soul beasts. According to the information left behind by Dandan, the 5 elements soul beasts in the 5 elements Immortal Mountain were stronger than the previous one. In the Yellow Earth Immortal Mountain, the ordinary soul beasts were stronger and more numerous. That was why some of them hadn't been killed. This was good news for the 3 of them. At least, it would be easier for the 3 of them to gather soul energy. They were afraid that the 5 elements soul beasts would have been killed by the people who had come in before. As long as there were some left, it was fine. Then, the 3 of them flew while using their spiritual awareness to search. After searching for half an hour, they found a few ordinary 5 elements soul beasts. Although there were still ordinary 5 elements soul beasts in the Yellow Earth Immortal Mountain, there weren't many of them. It was a bit better than the blazing Immortal Mountain. If weaker people had come in, they would have been able to find 5 elements soul beasts to kill. The 3 of them discussed for a while and decided to continue searching for more desolate and dangerous places to find stronger 5 elements soul beasts. It would be more efficient that way. Half a day later, they arrived at a golden desert. There, they were surrounded by a few extremely strong soul beasts. There were 6 gigantic crabs in total. They were terrifying. They all had the strength of the 9th great Supreme God layer. 3 of them had the strength of 9 stars, and the other 3 had the strength of 10 stars. As soon as they began fighting, the 3 of them fell into a disadvantageous position. In the end, they relied on the profundity of space-time power to surround and kill off one of them before focusing on the next one. Just like that, they split up and killed all 6 of the 5 element spiritual beasts. This was something only they could do. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't have been able to do it if they were besieged by 6 powerful soul beasts. Only by relying on the mysteries of space-time could he achieve this. After killing the 6 soul beasts, they continued their search. Just like that, over 10 days passed. The 3 of them had gathered enough soul power and were heading towards the next immortal mountain. Each mountain was connected by a suspension bridge. Similarly, when they were at the end of the bridge, the soul energy they gathered turned into 5 elements immortal energy and rushed into their glabella. The effect was exactly the same as the previous one. Lu Ming seized the time to comprehend secret techniques. When the strand of 5 elements immortal energy was used up, Lu Ming's 5,000 ordinary secret techniques had reached the great success level. His taboo power had improved once again. After this increase, Lu Ming felt that his fighting strength had finally reached a qualitative change. 13 stars of fighting strength. Indeed, even though he hadn't tested it yet, Lu Ming was sure that his fighting strength had reached 13 stars. How many great supreme gods had 13 stars of fighting strength in the world? Or perhaps, how many had existed since ancient times? Lu Ming looked confident. As long as he broke through to the 9th great supreme god layer, he would be invincible in the world. 9th great supreme god layer, I must reach that level. Only then will I be able to obtain the greatest benefits in the battle for the origin seeds. Lu Ming thought. As he was thinking, he was startled by Autumn Moon and Bubbles. The 9 orifices, sacred heart, on Autumn Moon's chest was beating continuously. It was filled with vigorous vitality. 8 of the acupuncture points were filled with terrifying aura. They had 8 different colors and were extremely dazzling. It was as if 8 extremely dazzling divine stones were embedded in them. Moreover, the 9th acupuncture point was also filled with divine light. It was as if some terrifying energy was about to burst out. Lu Ming knew that Autumn Moon's 9 orifices, sacred heart, was about to reach the great success level. The 9 acupuncture points of the 9 orifices, sacred heart, contained boundless potential. Every time an acupuncture point was opened, one's potential and strength would increase tremendously. Previously, Autumn Moon had relied on a series of opportunities to open 8 acupuncture points. However, the further he progressed, the harder it was to open them. Autumn Moon hadn't been able to open the 9th acupuncture point. However, with the help of the 5 elements immortal energy, the 9th acupuncture point was about to be opened. Thump, 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 thump. The 9 orifices, sacred heart, beat violently a few times before it finally quieted down. Unfortunately, she still didn't succeed. However, there was still a smile on Autumn Moon's face. She knew very well that she was so close. As long as she could obtain a wisp of 5 elements immortal energy, she would definitely succeed. On the other side, Bubble had also made great gains. Space-time energy fluctuated around her, making her body appear very blurry. It was as if she wasn't in this space-time, but on the other side of space-time, on the other side of space-time. She took a step forward and her body became clear again. It was as if she had reappeared in this space-time. Let's continue to the next immortal mountain. The 3 of them stepped forward and soon arrived at the 3rd immortal mountain, the Greenwood Immortal Mountain. This immortal mountain was called the Greenwood Immortal Mountain. It really lived up to its name. There were lush trees everywhere. There were also all kinds of vines and flowers. It looked like a paradise full of vitality. However, Lu Ming and the others were soon attacked. Several vines that were thicker than a person's waist and had barbs on them crazily whipped at them. Those were the 5 elements spirit beasts of the Greenwood Immortal Mountain. They existed in the form of plants. However, those 5 elements spirit beasts weren't too strong. They only had the strength of the 7th great supreme god layer. Lu Ming and the others easily killed them and absorbed their soul energy. After that, the 3 of them continued to look for 5 elements spirit beasts. After some investigation, they discovered that there were many more 5 elements spirit beasts in the Greenwood Immortal Mountain than in the Yellow Earth Immortal Mountain. Not long after they arrived, they encountered a few waves of 5 elements spirit beasts. Most of them were of the 7th or 8th great supreme god layer. There were many of them. They disguised themselves as ordinary plants and attacked suddenly. It was very dangerous. Those who weren't strong would be in more danger here than in the previous 2 immortal mountains. Of course, no matter how many 7 elements spirit beasts there were, they couldn't cause any harm to Lu Ming and the others. The three of them hunted the ordinary spirit beasts while looking for the stronger ones. Chapter 43, 79. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and the other two had stayed in the green with Celestial Mountain for 5 days. Bubble was the fastest among them. She had already gathered all the soul energy of the 5 elements soul beasts on her bracelet. In these 5 days, they had seen how dangerous the green with Celestial Mountain was. Once, they were amidst a sea of flowers and suffered a terrifying attack. A group of beautiful flowers suddenly turned into terrifying killers with terrifying strength. There were more than a dozen flowers, and their cultivation was at the 9th level of the Divine Emperor realm. Remember, above. Among them, there were 5 flowers with a 10-star battle strength, and one of them had an 11-star battle strength. Even if Lu Ming and the other 2 joined forces, they were still no match for the flowers. After a fierce battle, they barely escaped with the help of Bubble's space-time power. This made the 3 of them more vigilant. Although there were no divine masters in the 5 elements Celestial Mountain, there were still divine emperors who could threaten them. This was only the 3rd Celestial Mountain, and there were already 11-star battle strength. There were still 2 more Celestial Mountains. Would there be 12-star battle strength, or even higher? The 3 of them secretly decided to be extra careful when they looked for the 5 elements soul beasts in the dangerous places. There are a few 5 elements soul beasts. Bubble pointed at a forest in front of them. She controlled the space-time power, and her sensing ability was very strong. Even if the soul beasts were disguised as ordinary plants and didn't move, she could still sense them. The 2 of them immediately rushed over. Suddenly, a few figures rushed out from below and stopped the 3 of them. Heavenly Human Tribe. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Those figures were from the Heavenly Human Tribe. They stared at Lu Ming. It's Mu Yun. Mu Yun is here? Very good. Apparently, those Heavenly Human Tribe members recognized Lu Ming. They stared at Lu Ming with cold, murderous intent. Very good. Lu Ming could not be bothered to talk nonsense with the other party. He directly charged over. He grabbed the air with his palm, and a long spear appeared. Suddenly, the spear gleam flashed and shrouded a few Heavenly Human experts. Those cultivators of the Heavenly Human Tribe were all in their prime. They weren't weak. They all had the strength of the 9th Great, Supreme God Layer, and 6 stars. But this strength was simply not enough to look at in front of Lu Ming. As soon as Lu Ming made his move, a few strong men of the celestial race roared angrily and counterattacked. However, their attacks and defenses were instantly penetrated by the spear radiance. Several holes were left on their bodies, and their vitality had already been obliterated. Their eyes were wide open. Even in death, they couldn't believe that with their strength, they would be instantly killed by Lu Ming. Before entering the Taishang Immortal City, didn't they say he was only a deity emperor? He had improved so much after entering the Grand Supreme Immortal City. However, their questions were destined to remain unanswered. Lu Ming waved his hand and put away the storage rings of the heavenly humans. At this moment, swoosh, swoosh in the distant forest, a few silhouettes suddenly rushed out and ran madly into the distance. These people weren't from the Heavenly Human Tribe. They were from other races, including the Buddhist race and the demon race. Obviously, these people were frightened when they saw Lu Ming kill a few Heavenly Human Tribe experts in the distant forest. They hurriedly ran for their lives. Lu Ming's eyes flickered a few times. In the end, he didn't chase after them. They weren't from the Heavenly Human Tribe, and they didn't take the initiative to provoke him. There was no need to kill those who saw him. Moreover, as he became stronger and stronger, he became more confident. In addition, with Bubble and Autumn Moon, it didn't matter even if they were discovered. This was just a small episode. The 3 of them weren't affected and continued to look for the 5 elements soul beasts. Soon, another 3 days passed. Lu Ming and Autumn Moon's bracelets were almost filled with the soul energy of the 5 elements soul beasts. There's someone there. Suddenly, Bubble pointed in a direction. Lu Ming and Autumn Moon couldn't help but look over. Sure enough, in the next moment, they saw a figure rushing over quickly. That's Yi Ling. Lu Ming's eyes widened and his heart skipped a beat. Why would Yi Ling suddenly appear here? At the same time, they discovered that Yi Ling was injured. There were several hideous wounds on his body. Could it be that the heavenly human tribe had launched a siege and destroyed the 4 trees? Lu Ming released his spiritual consciousness and found that Yi Ling was real. This could be seen from his life aura. He wasn't an imposter. Soon, Yi Ling appeared in front of them. Brother Mu, I've finally found you. As Yi Ling spoke, he panted heavily. A strange look flashed in the depths of Lu Ming's eyes, but he quickly hid it. Brother Yi, why are you here? What happened? The heavenly human tribe. It's the heavenly human tribe. Our Earth meridian was breached by the heavenly human tribe. The heavenly human tribe set up the 9 heavens battle formation and broke through the siege of the 4 trees. Even the elixir furnaces fell into the hands of the heavenly human tribe. I escaped by luck and rushed here to inform you. Brother Mu, I've let you down. Yi Ling sighed, looking miserable and self-reproachful. What? The elixir furnaces have been taken away? Damn the heavenly human tribe. Autumn Moon and Bubble gritted their teeth and cursed angrily, their faces full of resentment. Lu Ming's face also turned pale. Brother Mu, I'm sorry. Yi Ling lowered his head, looking even more self-reproachful. Brother Yi, don't blame yourself. This isn't your fault. Lu Ming walked over and patted Yi Ling on the shoulder. At this moment, something strange happened. Yi Ling opened his mouth, and a beam of sword light burst out from his mouth. This beam of sword light was extremely sharp. The sword cheese-cold light pierced through the clouds and was extremely terrifying. It stabbed toward Lu Ming's glabella at an astonishing speed. This was too sudden. Autumn Moon and Bubble were shocked. They wanted to save Yi Ling, but it was too late. Even if Lu Ming wanted to dodge at such a close distance, it was too late. Yi Ling's grasp of timing was too accurate. However, just as the beam of sword light was 1 centimeter away from Lu Ming's glabella, a hand suddenly appeared and grabbed the beam of sword light. The hand was naturally Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming's palm was filled with forbidden power. After grabbing the beam of sword light could not move an inch further and could not move. Yi Ling's eyes widened, revealing a look of disbelief. He did not expect Lu Ming to be able to block his violent attack at such a close distance. Boom! Lu Ming suddenly exerted force, and a violent force erupted. The beam of sword light in his hand instantly collapsed. At the same time, a terrifying force crushed toward Yi Ling. Yi Ling roared angrily. More beams of sword light burst out from his body, trying to block Lu Ming's attack. However, he could not block it in the end. Under Lu Ming's power, the beams of sword light on his body continued to explode. After being hit by Lu Ming's power, his body shook violently and he retreated violently, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. You only have 8-star combat strength. As expected, you're not Yi Ling at all. Who exactly are you? Lu Ming stared coldly at Yi Ling. Chapter 40, 380. Although Yi Ling's cultivation was also at the 9th level of the Emperor God realm, his combat strength was only at 8 stars. The Yi Ling that Lu Ming knew had combat strength at the limit of 9 stars. He was much stronger than the one in front of him. Why? How could you block me at such a close distance? Unless you were on guard against me? Yi Ling stared at Lu Ming. That's right. I was on guard against you because I already suspected that you weren't Yi Ling. Lu Ming said coldly. He's not Yi Ling? Why is his life origin aura the same as Yi Ling's? Autumn Moon asked, her face full of confusion. That's right. It's really the same person. Could it be that Yi Ling is being controlled? Bubbles said, equally confused. I'm Yi Ling. I'm sorry, Brother Mu. I was just testing your strength. I didn't have any other intentions, Yi Ling hurriedly said. Stop quibbling. Although I don't know what method you used to disguise yourself as Yi Ling, even your life origin aura is the same. You're not Yi Ling, Yi Ling. Wouldn't call me Brother Mu, Lu Ming said coldly. Brother Mu, no, Mu Yin. No matter what you call me, it's the same. Do you still have doubts about this? Yi Ling continued to quibble. This time, Autumn Moon and Bubbles seemed to have understood and stared coldly at Yi Ling. Yi Ling's face turned slightly pale, revealing a hint of panic and confusion. He still didn't know what he had done wrong. Let me tell you, my real identity is not Mu Yin. I am Lu Ming. Lu Ming stared at Yi Ling and enunciated each word clearly. What? You're Lu Ming, the Lu Ming from the Dragon Clan's mother planet? Yi Ling exclaimed, his face full of disbelief. Now do you know where you're wrong? The real Yi Ling knows my real identity. He will only call me Brother Lu, not Brother Mu. Do you understand? Lu Ming said coldly. Step by step, he walked toward the fake Yi Ling. I'd really like to know how you managed to change your life origin aura into Yi Ling's. Lu Ming continued to ask. You want me to tell you? Sure, but only if you promise to let me go. Swear on your life essence. Fake Yi Ling shouted. Now, you don't have the right to negotiate with me. Lu Ming shouted coldly. His taboo power erupted as he rushed towards the other party. Fake Yi Ling's figure flashed as he tried to escape. However, Bubble made a move as well. The space-time around him seemed to have solidified. Fake Yi Ling couldn't escape, no matter how hard he tried. Boom! Lu Ming collapsed. The mountain-like hand rapidly grew in size and pressed down on the fake Yi Ling. No matter how much the fake Yi Ling resisted, it was useless. Under the pressure of the large hand, the fake Yi Ling coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. His body trembled as he knelt on the ground. Many of his bones were broken. Speak, who are you? What method did you use to change your life origin aura? Lu Ming said coldly. The murderous intent in his eyes was extremely dense. It was as cold as a blade, cutting into the fake Yi Ling skin. Fake Yi Ling felt a chill all over his body. It was as if he was facing the Grim Reaper, who was holding a knife to his neck. He had no doubt that if he didn't speak, Lu Ming would kill him in the next moment. He wouldn't be given any chance. I'll speak. I'm Yan Kai. As he spoke, the fake Yi Ling's appearance quickly changed into a horse-faced young man. At the same time, the life origin aura he emitted also changed rapidly. It was no longer his life origin aura, but another unfamiliar aura. This method was simply mysterious and unpredictable. Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and Bubble were a little stunned. It was easy to change one's appearance. However, it was almost impossible to change one's life origin aura. Once someone remembered the life origin aura, it was almost impossible to hide it. Lu Ming had once used the 3 corpses technique to sever his past and present. He had severed a brand new body, which had given him a brand new life origin aura. However, this person could change his life origin aura at will and imitate the life origin aura of others. That was amazing. Yan Kai, the Yan Kai who is ranked 19th on the Universe Prodigy list? Lu Ming said. Lu Ming clearly remembered that there was also a Yan Kai on the Universe Prodigy list who was good at swordsmanship and ranked 19th. That's right, it's me. Yan Kai nodded. I'm very curious. What secret technique did you cultivate to be able to change your life origin aura? Lu Ming asked. He was indeed very curious about this. If he could master this secret technique, it would be much more convenient for him to do things in the future. Moreover, it would be difficult for the Heavenly Palace to track him down. To be honest, what I cultivate is one of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques, the Great Imitation Technique. It is ever-changing and can imitate everything I see and sense, including the life origin aura of others. Yang Kai said, "It's the great imitation technique." Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had naturally heard of the great imitation technique. It was said that among the 3,000 ancient secret techniques, the great imitation technique was ranked in the top 3. It was extremely mysterious and had endless changes. He had always wanted to find this ancient secret technique, but he had never found it. There was none in the great ancient world, and there was none in the heavenly palace. He did not expect Yang Kai to master the great imitation technique. He had imitated Yi Ling's appearance just now. Obviously, he wanted to take Lu Ming by surprise and assassinate him to obtain great credit. "I'll give you a chance. Hand over the great imitation technique." Lu Ming said. Yang Kai was not surprised. He knew that after mentioning the great imitation technique, Lu Ming would definitely want it. "If you want me to hand over the great imitation technique, you have to promise to let me go and not kill me. You have to swear on your life origin," Yang Kai said. He had mentioned the great imitation technique because he wanted to use it to exchange for his life. Otherwise, Lu Ming and the others would definitely not let him go. To Yang Kai's surprise, Lu Ming nodded decisively. "Okay, but if you dare to lie to me, or if there are any mistakes in the great imitation technique that you hand over, I will still kill you. You have to know that I have mastered a large number of ancient secret techniques. I can tell whether it's real or fake at a glance." After saying that, Lu Ming waved his hand. A large number of secret techniques appeared in the sky, emitting various shapes and colors. There were thousands of them. Yang Kai was dumbfounded. He had never imagined that there would be someone in this world who could master so many ancient secret techniques. He had originally thought of tampering with the great imitation technique when he handed it over. Now he had completely dispelled this idea. Lu Ming had mastered so many ancient secret techniques. He was simply an expert among experts in ancient secret techniques. If he dared to tamper with the great imitation technique, he would be showing off his slight skill before an expert. He would be courting death. After warning Yang Kai, Lu Ming swore on his life origin that as long as Yang Kai handed over the great imitation technique, he would not kill him. Lu Ming nodded. Autumn Moon and Bubbles naturally would not refuse. They immediately swore on their life origin. Chapter 40, 381. After seeing Lu Ming and the others swear, Yang Kai finally felt relieved. Then he silently recited the cultivation method of the great imitation skill. Lu Ming and the others silently memorized the cultivation method of the great imitation skill. At the same time, Lu Ming also analyzed word by word to see if Yang Kai had tampered with the cultivation method. In the end, Lu Ming confirmed that this was the real great imitation skill, and there were no abnormalities. Lu Ming had mastered close to 1,800 types of ancient mystic skills. His understanding of ancient mystic skills had already reached an astonishing level. Moreover, he had the ancient divine stone in his hands. Whether an ancient secret skill was real or fake, or whether there were flaws, he could tell at a glance. The great imitation skill is in my hands. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Autumn Moon and Bubbles were also overjoyed. Although the great imitation skill did not have much offensive power, it was extremely useful. It was more useful than many secret skills with powerful offensive power. For example, just now, if Yang Kai had not revealed a flaw in his words, Lu Ming would never have thought that Yang Kai would attack him. Therefore, he would not have been able to avoid the other party's sneak attack. In that case, even if Lu Ming did not die, he would be severely injured. This was Lu Ming. If it were anyone else, the outcome would be obvious. No assassination technique could compare to the great imitation skill. I have already told you the cultivation method of the great imitation skill. Can I leave now? Yang Kai looked at Lu Ming and the others and said, "Oh, Lu Ming responded softly and suddenly made a move. He slapped Yang Kai's dantian, and a violent force rushed directly into Yang Kai's dantian, smashing it into pieces. His cultivation had been crippled. Yang Kai's pupils instantly popped out as he stared at Lu Ming. His eyes were full of unwillingness, resentment, and confusion. Lu Ming, you've already sworn on life origin. How dare you kill me? Aren't you afraid of being devoured by life origin? Yang Kai roared. I'm afraid. Of course I'm afraid. However, I didn't say that I was going to kill you. I'm just going to cripple your cultivation and control you. Who said that I was going to kill you? Lu Ming said coldly and nodded to Bubbles. Bubble took the hint and waved her small hands at a strange frequency. The power of space-time burst out and enveloped Yang Kai in layers. Yang Kai's body began to twist, and his body strangely became thin. Bubbles wanted to use the space-time power to seal Yang Kai. Ah, Lu Ming, you didn't keep your word. You will die a horrible death, Yang Kai shouted crazily. However, Lu Ming did not move. He could not just let him leave. Linses, heavens, heavens. SSSSSS, the great imitation skill, Linses Lin's Yang's. The main reason was that Yang Kai had mastered the great imitation skill. This ancient secret technique was too terrifying. Letting him leave would be very dangerous. If Yang Kai taught the great imitation skill to others, it would be even more dangerous. It would be a ticking time bomb. Therefore, Lu Ming wanted to control him. If possible, Lu Ming really wanted to kill Yang Kai and end this once and for all. However, Lu Ming had indeed sworn on life origin that he would not kill Yang Kai. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, he did not have the ability to resist the devouring of life origin. Only Origin Realm experts who had mastered life origin could be fearless of the devouring of life origin. Therefore, Lu Ming did not kill Yang Kai. He only crippled his cultivation. This was not a violation of the oath. Soon, Yang Kai was turned into a thin piece of paper under the effect of the space-time power. Then he was sucked into a disk array and sealed inside. Done! Bubbles put away the formation disk and said with a smile, this was just a small interlude. It did not affect Lu Ming's plan. After that, the three of them continued to hunt the 5 elemental soul beasts. A few days later, the 5 elemental soul energy in their bracelets was finally gathered. The three of them wanted to go to the 4th immortal mountain. In front of the suspension bridge between the 2 immortal mountains, the 5 elemental soul energy turned into a wisp of 5 elemental immortal energy. Lu Ming still used it to cultivate ordinary secret techniques. Another 5,000 secret techniques had reached greater mastery. Lu Ming's battle prowess had increased a little. Of course, it was impossible for his battle prowess to reach 14 stars. The difference was too great. Now, Lu Ming still had more than 5,000 ordinary secret techniques that he had yet to reach greater mastery. On the other side, Autumn Moon had finally broken through. In her chest, the sacred heart of 9 orifices was beating violently. A terrifying aura burst out of the 9th aperture. Finally, a bright light rushed out of the 9th aperture of the sacred heart of 9 orifices, causing the entire sacred heart of 9 orifices to shine. Finally, Autumn Moon had opened all 9 apertures of the sacred heart of 9 orifices, and her battle prowess had skyrocketed. Lu Ming estimated that Autumn Moon's current battle prowess should have reached 11 stars. When the sacred heart of 9 orifices was fully opened and reached greater mastery, the increase in battle prowess would be very shocking. It would not be difficult to increase her battle prowess from 10 stars to 11 stars. Bubbles had also gained a lot. However, Lu Ming could not estimate how much her battle prowess had increased. The power of time and space was mysterious and difficult to estimate. This 5 elements immortal mountain was really a great opportunity. Not to mention anything else. Just the increase in their battle prowess was already a great gain. After the 5 elements immortal energy was used up, the 3 of them continued to move forward and arrived at the 4th immortal mountain. The 4th immortal mountain had more 5 elemental soul beasts than the 3rd. Of course, they were stronger and more dangerous. From time to time, terrifying 5 elemental soul beasts would appear. There was even one time when the 3 of them encountered a group of 11-star, 5 elemental soul beasts. Remember, it was not just one soul beast, but a group. Even if the 3 of them became stronger, they were still no match for a group of 11-star, 5 elemental soul beasts whose cultivation had reached the 9th level of the Emperor God realm. They could only run away. Just like that, the 3 of them spent some time and successfully collected the soul energy of the soul beasts, obtaining a wisp of 5 elemental immortal energy. This time, Lu Ming finally cultivated the remaining 5,000 or so ordinary secret techniques to greater mastery. Autumn Moon used this wisp of 5 elemental immortal energy to continue developing the Sacred Heart of 9 Orifices. The potential of the Sacred Heart of 9 Orifices was fully developed. As for Bubbles, she naturally continued to improve her power of time and space. Then, they entered the 5th immortal mountain. The 5th immortal mountain was full of soul beasts and was even more dangerous. However, with their strength and their respective life-saving methods, it was not difficult to hunt soul beasts. This time, it did not take them 10 days to collect all the soul energy of the 5 elemental soul beasts. Brother Lu Ming, this time, I plan to use the 5 elemental immortal energy to cultivate the great imitation art. What about you? Bubbles asked Lu Ming. Good idea, I plan to do the same. Lu Ming nodded. The great imitation art was very useful and ranked in the top 3 among all the ancient secret techniques. The difficulty of cultivating it was absolutely shocking. Chapter 40, 382. With Lu Ming's understanding of ancient secret techniques, the difficulty of cultivating the great imitation technique was absolutely astonishing. If they cultivated it step by step outside, who knew how much time it would take? If they could use a wisp of 5 elements immortal energy to cultivate it to greater mastery, it would be completely worth it. In the end, the 3 of them unanimously decided to use this wisp of 5 elements immortal energy to cultivate the great imitation technique. The effect of 5 elements immortal energy was indeed very astonishing. The 3 of them used the 5 elements immortal energy and quickly mastered the great imitation technique, cultivating it to the beginner level. Then it was lesser mastery. Then it was greater mastery. Yes, after using a wisp of 5 elements immortal energy, they directly cultivated the great imitation technique to greater mastery. However, after cultivating the great imitation technique to greater mastery, a wisp of 5 elements immortal energy was already used up. However, the 3 of them were already very satisfied. The 3 of them were just about to try the mystery of the great imitation technique when suddenly a force acted on their bodies. Under this force, their bodies directly disappeared from the spot. The next moment, they appeared in a new place. Is this a valley? Lu Ming looked around. He found that they were in a valley with high cliffs on both sides. The valley was very wide, at least tens of thousands of miles wide. In front of them, there was a golden wall of light blocking their path. And behind them, it was chaos and there was no path. Under the golden wall of light in front of them, there were many people standing. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the crowd and saw at least 20 people. Among the 20 people, most of them were from the heavenly human race. In addition, there were a few powerhouses from the top 10 races. They are existences on the universe prodigy list. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. There were a few youths among them. Lu Ming had seen portraits of them in the illusory divine jade before. They were existences on the universe prodigy list, and they were all ranked in the top 20. They were definitely not comparable to Gabbard. Those who could reach here were definitely not weak. The arrival of Lu Ming and the other 2 was also noticed by the others. Then, their gazes revealed a bright glow. Obviously, they recognized Lu Ming. Mu Yin! It's Mu Yin! The people of the heavenly human tribe cried out in alarm. The greed in their eyes was extremely intense. Even those on the universe genius list looked greedy. Kill! A few of them reacted quickly and directly attacked. They turned into several streaks of rainbow light and attacked Lu Ming. Just as Autumn Moon and Bubbles were about to attack, Lu Ming stopped them. There's no need for you to deal with these clowns. I'll deal with them. Lu Ming spoke. Before he could finish his words, he had already charged out. Boom! Boom! Forbidden power erupted, and the battle's secret art's sevenfold combat power was activated. The dazzling fist energy carried a destructive power as it blasted out and collided with the attacks of the experts. After a series of explosions, the attacks of those experts collapsed. Their bodies trembled violently as they retreated. There were even some who spat out large mouthfuls of blood, their faces pale, suffering serious injuries. How could you possibly have such strength? These people all cried out in surprise, finding it hard to believe. There was no doubt that those who could reach this place were all at the 9th level of the great supreme god realm. That was the foundation, and their combat power was extremely strong. There were 4 people who had attacked just now. 2 of them had 8-star combat power, and the other 2 had 9-star combat power. The 4 of them had joined forces, but they had been instantly defeated by Lu Ming. 2 of them had even been injured, and Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 8th level of the great supreme god realm. What kind of combat power was that? It was simply unbelievable. However, Lu Ming's display of combat power didn't stop these people from wanting to kill Lu Ming. They were just shocked for a moment, then they all attacked. More than 20 people at the scene almost all attacked. Except for 1 person who didn't attack. More than 20 figures charged towards Lu Ming together, bringing with them terrifying energy waves. These people had at least 8-star combat power. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to reach this place. In addition, many of them had 9-star combat power. There were even 3 geniuses of the heavenly human tribe who had 10-star combat power. Facing so many experts, it was difficult for Lu Ming to face them head-on. However, Lu Ming wouldn't face them head-on. He used his movement skill. His body seemed to have turned into several spear lights, flashing in the air. After a few flashes, he dodged these people's attacks. Lu Ming now had a 13-star combat power, which was equivalent to his opponent's 10-star combat power. In a one-on-one battle, he wasn't afraid of any of them. However, there were so many of them, he couldn't fight them head-on, but if he focused on dodging, they wouldn't be able to kill him. After the first wave of attacks, the second wave of attacks was launched. Lu Ming continued to use his movement skill. Spear lights flashed in the air, dodging these people's attacks one by one. Damn it, don't dodge if you dare. Fight me. If we fight head-on, I'll kill you in one move. The geniuses of the heavenly human tribe shouted. You have so many people, and you still have the cheek to say that. If you're so capable, fight me one-on-one. Lu Ming sneered. Okay, one-on-one. Get out of the way. Let me deal with him. A heavenly human tribe genius shouted. This heavenly human tribe genius had a 10-star combat power and was one of the top geniuses of the heavenly human tribe. He was only weaker than Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven. He was confident that he could kill Lu Ming alone. However, the others weren't willing to do so. I can deal with him too. Get out of the way. It was another heavenly human tribe genius, who also had a 10-star combat power. Among the top geniuses, the confident ones didn't want to get out of the way. The others also didn't want to get out of the way. They wanted to fish in troubled waters. Maybe they could kill Lu Ming in the chaos. That would be a great contribution. On the heavenly human tribe's side, there were a few geniuses on the universe prodigy list. They all wanted to kill Lu Ming, so their attacks were chaotic and couldn't form an effective encirclement attack. This way, Lu Ming could dodge more easily. All of you back off. Leave it to me. At this moment, a cold voice was heard. The voice was full of arrogance. The moment they heard this voice, all the prideful geniuses felt their hearts skip a beat. They couldn't help but stop in their tracks as they turned around to look. There was a heavenly human tribe youth standing there quietly. He was the only one who hadn't made a move. Everyone's eyes were filled with awe as they looked at this person. Do you want me to say it again? All of you get out of the way. I'll deal with him. The heavenly human tribe youth spoke again. There was a hint of displeasure in his voice. The others' hearts skipped a beat. They didn't dare to disobey and stepped back. Does Son of Heaven want to deal with him personally? One of the heavenly human tribe geniuses asked with a hint of respect in his voice. That's right. This heavenly human tribe genius, who hadn't made a move yet, was one of the 9 sons of heaven and daughter of heaven of the 4 heavenly palace. His name was Yi Chu Qianyue. Chapter 40, 383. This time, there were a total of 4 heavenly palaces. These 4 heavenly palaces only had a total of 9 sons of heaven or daughters of heaven. Sons of heaven or daughters of heaven represented the peak of the younger generation of the heavenly human tribe. Not only were they talented and powerful, but they also represented their status. The status of sons of heaven or daughters of heaven was very high in the heavenly human tribe. They were almost comparable to the Lord of Heaven. Therefore, countless people racked their brains to become sons of heaven or daughters of heaven. That status and the resources they controlled were too terrifying. Yi Chu Qianyue approached Lu Ming step by step. The aura on his body was getting stronger and stronger. Lu Ming also stopped and looked at Yi Chu Qianyue. His eyes were filled with strong combat power. Son of Heaven was one of the strongest people in the younger generation of the primitive universe. Lu Ming wanted to know how powerful a son of Heaven's combat ability was. Young master, I feel that this person is very strong. I'm afraid you're no match for him. Autumn Moon came to Lu Ming's side and quietly transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Does he have a combat power of 11 stars? Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Autumn Moon. I think so. I feel a strong pressure. Autumn Moon nodded in response. Lu Ming knew that Autumn Moon should feel the same. Autumn Moon's 9 apertures, sacred heart, had been fully opened, and her combat power had reached 11 stars. To be able to make Autumn Moon feel pressured, the other party's combat power was definitely not weak. I'll try one move. If the other party only has 11 stars of combat power and can't kill me in one move, you guys can attack from behind. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Autumn Moon and Bubbles. All right. Autumn Moon and Bubbles nodded and agreed. Come on, let me see how strong a heavenly palace's Son of Heaven is. Lu Ming's eyes were bright, and his fighting spirit was getting stronger. The forbidden power in his body was activated to the extreme, and the battle formula was also activated to the extreme. There were tens of thousands of cells all over his body. They were radiant and dazzling like stars. These were the cells that had been fused with the secret technique runes. The power of the secret technique fused with the forbidden power, and Lu Ming was shrouded in a layer of multicolored light. At the same time, every pore on his body was constantly emitting tiny spear lights. In the end, his entire body was about to transform into a spear light. Showing off in front of an expert, Tian Fa kill. Yi Chu Qianyue coldly shouted and took a step forward. His body turned into a phantom as he rushed towards Lu Ming. Then he pressed down his palm towards Lu Ming. Streaks of pure white lightning shot out from his palm. This was the power of heavenly punishment. However, Yi Chu Qianyue's control over the heavenly punishment power had clearly reached an extremely profound level. The power of heavenly retribution intertwined in his hand. turning into a spear completely made of heavenly retribution power, thrusting towards Lu Ming. So what if it's heavenly punishment? Watch how I break the heavens. Lu Ming let out a long roar and displayed the heaven-breaking style. His entire body turned into a shocking spearlight, thrusting towards Yi Chu Qianyue. The two dazzling spear lights met in the air, and the spear tips pierced each other. In an instant, it was as if a star had exploded. Where the spear tips met, there was a burst of dazzling light. Countless fine spear lights shot out in all directions. The faces of the experts from the heavenly palace changed. They retreated one after another, setting up layers of defense in front of them to block these fine spear lights. Bubbles waved her hand, and the space-time power burst out. The space in front of her, an autumn moon, was constantly distorted, isolating these spear lights. Buzz! In the second breath of the two's confrontation, Lu Ming's spear light shook violently. Then with a bang it collapsed. The spear light collapsed, revealing Lu Ming's body. He retreated rapidly until he reached the side of Autumn Moon and the others. Dozens of fine wounds appeared on his body, and blood kept flowing out. These wounds were caused by the opponent's spear light. It's really powerful, Lu Ming muttered in a low voice. The opponent's combat strength had definitely reached the 11-star level, and it was not an ordinary 11-star level. It was very powerful. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, he was completely crushed. He was injured in one move. He didn't die. Yi Chu Qianyue frowned. He was also very shocked. With his strength, he couldn't kill a person who was one level lower than him. He had only encountered such a situation once. That was when he faced that abnormal person, and now it was the second time. Yi Chu Qianyue's eyes burst out with astonishing killing intent. With your strength, you still want to break the heavens. You are simply delusional. You are destined to be one of the stepping stones of my heavenly human tribe. Today I will kill you. Yi Chu Qianyue shouted coldly. His body was shrouded in the power of heaven. On his palm, the power of heaven's punishment madly condensed. Countless streams of the power of heaven's punishment were compressed together, condensing and compressing. Finally, it turned into a dazzling battle sword. Whoosh! The battle sword broke through the air and once again slashed toward Lu Ming. Its speed was fast, and its power was even more terrifying. Even the incomparably stable space rippled. The incomparably sharp sword Qi went straight to Lu Ming's glabella. Before the sword light arrived, Lu Ming felt that there were very small lightning bolts swimming on the surface of his skin. It stimulated his skin and caused a burst of pain. "Let me do it!" At this time, Bubbles' voice sounded. Her small hand pressed forward. The power of time and space erupted. The void was like ripples of water. It also looked like pieces of mirrors stacked together and pressed toward Yi Chu Qianyue. These mirror-like spaces seemed to be sealing Yi Chu Qianyue. The power of time and space. What a space-time spirit mouse. How dare you attack me? Then I will kill you together with it. Yi Chu Qianyue shouted. The sword light slashed violently and slashed on the power of time and space. The power of time and space was forcefully split apart like a stream of water. "Stop!" Bubbles shouted. Her glabella shone, and two origin ancient words flew out. The power of time and space sword. The surrounding void was distorted and pressed toward Yi Chu Qianyue. The space-time power was crushing down on Yi Chu Qianyue from all directions. It was trying to crush him to death. As soon as the two origin ancient words appeared, Bubble's strength was raised to the extreme. She broke through a limit, and her strength reached another level. 11 stars of battle strength. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Sure enough, after passing through the 5 immortal mountains and obtaining the 5 elements immortal energy, Bubble's combat strength had also broken through. From 10 stars to 11 stars, the power of time and space became stronger. Such a powerful power of time and space made Yi Chu Qianyue feel great pressure. Power of heaven's punishment, explode! Yi Chu Qianyue shouted. The battle sword in his hand vibrated violently. The sword hummed and flew out and suddenly exploded. This battle sword was completely condensed by the power of heaven's punishment. At this time, when it exploded, thousands of lightning bolts burst out and rushed in all directions. The sky was filled with white lightning. There were too many and too much power. The power of time and space was violently distorted and then constantly exploded. Then, Bubbles' body retreated violently. End of chapter. Chapter 40, 384. Bubbles was no match for him. She retreated and her face turned pale. Evidently, there were differences in strength between those with 11 stars of battle prowess. Although Yi Qianyue and Bubble both possessed 11 stars of battle prowess, Bubble had just reached 11 stars of battle prowess. Clearly, he was not a match for Yi Qianyue. This is the first time I've seen a mere space-time spirit mouse with such battle strength. Now I'll give you a chance. Submit to me and work for me in the future, and I'll spare your life. Yi Qianyue said, staring at Bubbles with bright eyes. Obviously, he had taken a fancy to Bubbles' talent. Space-time spirit mice could control time and space. They were a top race in the universe, and the strong ones could open wormholes. However, this was the first time he had seen such a powerful space-time spirit mouse. He had never even heard of it, let alone seen it. If he could take her in, she would definitely be a great help. Now, there were a total of 9 sons and daughters of heaven in the 4 heavenly palace. Not to mention the 4 heavenly palace, there were 2 sons of heaven in the heavenly palace where he was. They were each other's biggest competitors. In addition, there were some latecomers who were also eyeing covetously. He needed more and stronger forces to support him. With Bubbles' talent, her achievements would be amazing in the future. He was really tempted to have her as his right-hand woman. Submit to you? Wake up, it's daytime now. Bubbles curled her lips, obviously mocking Yi Qianyue for daydreaming. By the side, Lu Ming was very cooperative and laughed out loud. Yi Qianyue's face was gloomy. You'd better think it through. If you follow me, you will have power and resources. You can get anything you want in this universe. Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Now, I want the head of the Lord of Heaven. Can you give it to me? Bubbles continued to curl her lips. You're digging your own grave. Yi Qianyue was completely furious. His eyes were extremely cold. He clenched his right hand, and the power of heavenly punishment erupted. Countless lightning began to condense into a battle sword. At the same time, his left hand also underwent a great change. A layer of dusky power was emitted from it. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. His heart was beating wildly. This was the power of heavenly annihilation. Yi Chu Qianyue had actually managed to control 2 types of supreme heavenly powers. One was the power of heavenly punishment, the other was the power of heavenly extermination. Although the heavenly annihilation force did not seem to be as powerful as the heavenly punishment force, it was absolutely terrifying for a single person to control 2 types of heavenly powers. Lu Ming had only seen 2 types of celestial powers in the heavenly palace. Kill! Yi Chu Qianyue shouted. His body shot towards the bubble like an arrow. He waved both of his palms. 2 types of supreme heavenly power intertwined and blasted towards the bubble. It was even more powerful than before. Lu Ming's expression changed, and his aura burst out, wanting to lend Bubble a hand. At the same time, Bubble also unleashed her full strength. She activated her space-time power to the extreme. Boundless space-time power formed a space-time cage that pressed down on Yi Chu Qianyue. Under Yi Chu Qianyue's attacks, the space-time power continued to crumble. Whoosh! Lu Ming transformed into a long spear and stabbed towards Yi Chu Qianyue. Get lost! Yi Chu Qianyue blasted out a palm and hit Lu Ming, sending Lu Ming flying. Lu Ming felt his qi and blood surging. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. However, at this time, Autumn Moon also attacked. A 9-colored machete slashed towards Yi Chu Qianyue. The machete chi whistled with terrifying power. Yi Chu Qianyue's expression changed because he felt a fatal threat. At the critical moment, he blasted out his right palm and collided with the 9-colored machete. With a loud bang, a violent roar, the energy swept out in all directions. Yi Chu Qianyue's attack was finally blocked, and he was forced to retreat several steps. Autumn, Moon, and Bubble also retreated and then stood side by side. You have also reached 11-star battle strength. Yi Chu Qianyue looked at Autumn, Moon with great shock. He was really shocked. When did 11-star battle prowess become so commonplace? Why were there so many of them popping up one after another? Most of the sons of heaven and daughters of heaven only had 11-star battle strength. The 4 great celestial palaces added together only had 9 sons of heaven or daughters of heaven. How rare was that? But now, 2 of them had appeared in a row. How could he not be shocked? Not only Yi Chu Qianyue, but the other heavenly humans and the geniuses on the universe genius list were also shocked. In their eyes, the nearly invincible son of heaven had actually been blocked by someone. Heaven's punishment, heaven's extermination, heaven's execution. Yi Chu Qianyue roared. 2 types of heaven's powers surrounded his body. He raised his aura to the peak and continued to attack Bubble and the others. Young master, don't attack first. Leave it to us. Autumn Moon said. Her body was enveloped by 9-colored light. She controlled the 9-colored machete and attacked Yi Chu Qianyue. Bubble assisted her with the space-time force. Lu Ming was quite depressed. However, his strength was still a little weak. There was a big gap between him and Yi Chu Qianyue. Even if he attacked, the effect was very limited. Now he could only rely on Autumn, Moon, and Bubble. Boom! Boom! The 2 sides collided again. The scene was constantly exploding. After more than 10 moves, there was no winner. This guy's battle strength has reached the limit of 11 stars. Lu Ming thought. His face was a little solemn. The geniuses of the heavenly human tribe could control multiple types of heaven's powers, which greatly increased their battle strength. Yi Chu Qianyue was so powerful just by controlling 2 types of heaven's powers. Then, among the younger generation of the heavenly human tribe, was there anyone who could control 3 or even 4 types of heaven's powers? If there was, then it would be terrifying. Lu Ming felt that he had underestimated the heavenly human tribe before. Maybe there was someone who could compete with him in the heavenly human tribe. No, not maybe, it was very likely. After all, there was more than one taboo power in history, but in the end, it did not overthrow the heavenly palace. The heavenly palace was still the ruler of the primitive universe. This was very clear. Boom! 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 The 2 sides continued to exchange more than 20 moves. In the blink of an eye, there was still no winner. Yi Chu Qianyue's face became more and more gloomy and anxious, because he found that he could not do anything to Autumn, Moon, and Bubble, let alone kill Lu Ming. All of you attack together! Yi Chu Qianyue shouted to the others. Attack! Kill! The others had been waiting for this moment. Previously, Yi Chu Qianyue asked them not to attack, so they had some scruples. Now that Yi Chu Qianyue asked them to attack, how could they not attack? Immediately they attacked. Of course, their target was Lu Ming. More than a dozen attacks were aimed at Lu Ming, and a few attacks were aimed at Autumn, Moon, and Bubble. Trying to win with numbers? It's not realistic for me. Bubble shouted softly. The area covered by the power of time and space rapidly expanded, enveloping the people on the heavenly palace's side. Chapter 40, 385. The space-time power spread out and enveloped everyone in the heavenly palace. These people were suppressed by the space-time power, and their speed slowed down. Their strength was also suppressed, and their strength was greatly reduced. Autumn Moon and Bubbles easily dodged and did not affect them much. Swoosh! Lu Ming also moved. His body was like a phantom as he pounced toward the people in the heavenly palace. In the space-time power, Lu Ming's speed was not affected at all. Instead, it became faster. After a few flashes, he dodged the attacks one by one. Then he rushed toward an 8-star heavenly human prodigy and stabbed his spear at him. That person was shocked and wanted to dodge. However, the space-time power around him kept pressing toward him. It was as if he had fallen into a quagmire and his speed was greatly affected. For a moment, he could not dodge at all. He could only take it head-on. He roared and unleashed his strongest heavenly power. It turned into a battle axe and slashed at Lu Ming. With a loud bang, the two attacks collided. In the instant of the collision, the battle axe formed by the heavenly human tribe's prodigy shattered. The spear light was like a rainbow piercing through the sun, piercing straight through the heavenly human tribe's forehead. The heavenly human prodigy's head exploded like a watermelon, and he died. Lu Ming rushed past, and the heavenly human prodigy's storage ring fell into Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming did not stop and continued to kill the next heavenly human prodigy. This prodigy had a 9-star battle strength. When he saw Lu Ming charging toward him, he was shocked and quickly retreated. However, in the space-time power, his speed was no match for Lu Ming's. He was caught up and suffered Lu Ming's terrifying attacks. Although he had a 9-star battle strength and was very powerful, it was a pity that he met Lu Ming. Lu Ming now had a 13-star battle strength. Even if this heavenly human prodigy was at his peak, he would not be a match for Lu Ming. Now that he was suppressed by the space-time power, the gap between him and Lu Ming was even greater. Poof! Blood splattered in all directions as blood-curdling screams resounded throughout the heavens and earth. Instakill, it was still an instakill. That young genius of the 9th great supreme god layer, who had the strength of a 9-star cultivator, had been killed by Lu Ming in an instant. His ring had also fallen into Lu Ming's hands. "You're courting death!" Yi Chu Qianwei roared. The murderous intent in his eyes almost materialized. Hundreds of pure white lightning bolts flickered continuously on his right palm, producing crackling sounds. Among them, dozens of pure white lightning bolts struck towards Lu Ming. As they neared Lu Ming, the lightning bolts grew larger and larger. Each bolt was thicker than a person's waist and filled with a terrifying aura. Lu Ming originally wanted to kill the next person, but in the face of these dozens of lightning bolts, he had no choice but to focus on dealing with them. Lu Ming used his movement technique and kept dodging. At the same time, he used his spear to block. After all, this was only a part of Yi Chu Qianyue's strength. It was not his full strength. Lu Ming could still block it. He thrust out his spear and destroyed the lightning formed by the power of the heavenly punishment. "Everyone back off!" Yi Chu Qianyue roared. The lightning bolts, mixed with the power of the heavenly punishment, kept striking towards Qiu Qiuyu and Bubbles. At the same time, a part of them struck towards Lu Ming. The purpose of such a large-scale attack was to buy time for the other people of the heavenly palace to retreat. He was not being kind and wanted to save the other people of the heavenly palace. But if these people of the heavenly palace died, he would also be implicated. After all, he was the leader here. He was the only son of heaven. In other words, these people were under his leadership. If they were to besiege and kill Lu Ming and the rest under his leadership and suffer heavy losses, it would be a huge blow to his reputation and reputation. His competitors would definitely use this to attack him. It would be very unfavorable for him. Therefore, after Lu Ming had killed 2 young geniuses of the heavenly human tribe, He could only use his full strength to cover the retreat of the others. Under the cover of Yi Chu Qianyue, the other people of the heavenly palace quickly retreated and gathered together. Yi Chu Qianyue also stopped attacking Qiu Qiuyu and Bubbles. He also quickly retreated and gathered with the others. In this way, it would be difficult for Lu Ming and the others to attack. Yi Chu Qianyue and the others kept retreating and finally got out of the range of the power of time and space. They stared at Lu Ming and the other two with extremely strong killing intent, but they did not dare to act rashly. Mu Yin. No, I should call you Lu Ming. Yi Chu Qianyue stared at Lu Ming and said, "The 9 sons and daughters of heaven of the heavenly palace knew Lu Ming's real body movement. They knew that Mu Yun was Lu Ming and Lu Ming was Mu Yun. They were the same person." Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not deny it. However, some people of the heavenly palace widened their eyes in shock. What? Mu Yun is Lu Ming? Are they the same person? How is this possible? How did his life, origin, aura change? Some people exclaimed and found it hard to believe. However, these words were said by Yi Chu Qianyue. Looking at Lu Ming's expression, it was obvious that he had admitted it. They had no choice but to believe it. This was really a piece of shocking news. Lu Ming, you can only hide behind 2 women and struggle at death's door. Without those 2 women, I can kill you with one hand. Yi Chu Qianyue sneered, and his voice was full of sarcasm. You're just a little older than me, and your cultivation is a little higher than mine. If you have the ability, why don't you fight me at the same level? Lu Ming said sarcastically, cultivation is also a kind of capital. A high cultivation is also a kind of talent. Are you going to ask a divine master to deliberately suppress his cultivation to compete with a divine king or a divine master? Isn't that ridiculous? Some people are just so talented. No matter how much time you give them, it will be difficult for them to improve their cultivation. Do I have to suppress my cultivation to fight with someone weaker than me every time I meet him? What's the point of cultivating for all the living beings in the world? Yi Chu Qianyue sneered and continued to mock him. This time, Lu Ming did not say anything. He really had nothing to say. He could only use practical actions to trample on the other party's face in the future. That was the best counterattack. You talk so much nonsense. Are all the heavenly human tribe like this? Do you only rely on your mouth when you're not strong enough? Seeing Lu Ming being scolded, Qiuyu stopped talking and responded. Yi Chu Qianyue glanced at Qiuyu with a gloomy face and secretly swore to himself that he would make Qiuyu pay the price in the future. Your Excellency, what should we do next? Behind Yi Chu Qianyue, a heavenly human tribe genius asked in a low voice. Continue to comprehend those primitive ancient characters. We'll find a chance to deal with Lu Ming later, Yi Chu Qianyue said. After saying that, he turned around and walked back to the golden light wall in front of the valley. At this time, Lu Ming and the other 2 finally had time to look at the golden light wall. At first glance, the 3 of them were shocked. They saw that there were words on the golden light wall. However, the 3 of them did not recognize any of these words. These words looked very ancient and very strange. They looked like paintings, but also like words. For example, there was a word that looked like a flame. However, the 3 of them could tell that it was not a painting, but a word. Chapter 40, 386. Are they hieroglyphs? Qiu Autumn Moon whispered. What are hieroglyphs? Lu Ming asked. Master once said that hieroglyphs are words from the last era. They were popular in the Eldritch continent back then. They looked like patterns and words, so they were called hieroglyphs. They are the oldest words. Some people call them the Eldritch ancient words, Qiu Autumn Moon explained in a low voice. I see. Hieroglyphs are quite appropriate. Lu Ming nodded. The 3 of them stepped forward and came to the golden wall. The golden wall was huge, and it separated the valley completely. It was tens of thousands of miles wide. They were far away from the heavenly human tribe. The three of them looked at the golden wall carefully. The hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light emitted a strange light. The strange thing was that they were constantly moving on the wall of light. Sometimes they would move far away, and sometimes they would move back. It was as if they were flowing in a small river. "What a strange feeling," Lu Ming whispered and stared at the hieroglyphs. The hieroglyphs gave people a feeling that they were extremely ancient and contained endless mystery. It was as if every hieroglyph contained endless mysteries. However, the profundity of this technique was difficult to comprehend, and the things that it contained were completely different from the current cultivation system. These hieroglyphs are very strange. Do they contain the cultivation methods or secret arts of the last era? Chiao Autumn Moon guessed. According to the information left by Dandan, only by comprehending some of the mysteries of the words on the wall can we pass through this golden wall and enter the real core of the 5 elements immortal mountain to obtain the 5 elements immortal tier. At this moment, Bubbles said, "It seems that these words are indeed extraordinary. Let's begin." Lu Ming said. The three of them each chose a place to sit down and then stared at the hieroglyphs on the golden wall seriously. The golden wall seemed to be magnified in Lu Ming's eyes. Words after words flowed in Lu Ming's eyes. Lu Ming entered a state of ethereal state and tried his best to decipher the hieroglyphs, hoping to comprehend some mysteries. Of course, he also paid attention to the surroundings. If there was any danger, he would be able to react in time. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. However, Lu Ming did not comprehend anything. However, even though he didn't comprehend anything, he was still able to make some headway. These hieroglyphs don't seem to contain a cultivation method, but an existence similar to a secret technique, Lu Ming pondered. However, the cultivation method of the previous epoch was different from the current one. Although these hieroglyphs contained something similar to a secret technique, they were actually not a secret technique. They were very profound, and Lu Ming still could not figure them out. Actually, thinking about it, it made sense. Those hieroglyphs were definitely not that easy to comprehend. Yi Chu Qian Yue and the others had likely been here for several years, yet they were still trapped outside, unable to pass through the golden wall of light. Yi Chu Qian Yue, to be able to become the son of heaven, his talent must be extremely high. His perception must also be top-notch. Even after spending so much time, he still couldn't comprehend it. It was clear that these hieroglyphs were definitely not that simple. At the same time, Lu Ming and the other two felt a sense of urgency. They wanted to comprehend it as soon as possible, pass through the golden wall, and obtain the 5 elements immortal tier. If the people of the heavenly human tribe were one step ahead of them, it would be troublesome. After all, they were a few years late. Let's try the primordial god stone. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The primordial god stone was incomparably profound. Legend had it that it was a treasure from the previous epoch. The Lord of the primordial divine court relied on the primordial god stone to comprehend the 3,000 primordial secret techniques. Lu Ming relied on the primordial god stone and other primordial secret techniques as a foundation to successfully comprehend the heaven-breaking form. Could the primordial god stone help him comprehend these hieroglyphs? It was also an item from the previous epoch. It should be helpful, right? Lu Ming was not very sure, but he could only give it a try. Lu Ming's mind sank into the primordial god stone and merged with it. Buzz! In his sea of consciousness, strange patterns suddenly appeared on the primordial god stone. Looking at these patterns, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. These patterns looked somewhat similar to the hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light. This had never appeared before. In the past, when Lu Ming comprehended the primordial secret techniques or the heaven-breaking form, some patterns also appeared on the primordial god stone. but those patterns were completely different from the ones now. Let's see the effect. Lu Ming suppressed the fluctuations in his heart and continued to look at the hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light. This time there was an obvious change. The hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light seemed to have something more magical in his eyes. It was a feeling, a wonderful feeling. That was, the hieroglyphs on the golden wall of light were not so obscure and difficult to understand. Lu Ming had a strange understanding in his heart. The primordial Godstone is really useful. It can help me comprehend. This is great. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Originally, the people of the heavenly human race had entered a few years earlier than them and comprehended a few more years. This made him very uncertain. He was afraid that they would suddenly succeed, pass through the golden wall of light, and take the 5 elements fairy tier first. Now he finally had some confidence. Immediately, Lu Ming focused his mind and comprehended with all his might. These hieroglyphs slowly seemed to come alive in Lu Ming's eyes. They seemed to have turned into flames, mountains, and even different creatures, displaying their own mysteries. It's really a kind of secret technique. It's used to attack or assist, Lu Ming whispered. He understood more and more in his heart, and his understanding of these hieroglyphs also became deeper and deeper. However, after all, it was Lu Ming's first time coming into contact with this kind of hieroglyphs and the secret technique of the last era. It was still very difficult to comprehend it successfully. Even with the help of the primordial Godstone, it was not that easy. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. The people of the heavenly human race still had not comprehended it. At this time, Lu Ming's understanding of the hieroglyphs had improved a lot. Sometimes his hands would involuntarily dance. His fingertips would pass through the air, drawing mysterious patterns in the air. Young Master is indeed the young master. He's always so powerful. On the side, Autumn Moon's beautiful eyes sparkled, and her face was full of admiration. Brother Lu Ming is so powerful. Dandan is right. Only Brother Lu Ming can save him. Bubbles' face was also full of smiles. The two of them only felt that their heads were swollen after comprehending it for a year. They only felt that their heads were swollen, and they did not understand anything at all. However, Lu Ming had obviously taken a big step forward, and they were convinced. Let's continue to comprehend it. It's not that we don't trust the young master, but we have to be careful, Autumn Moon said to Bubbles. Okay. Bubbles nodded and continued to comprehend. In the blink of an eye, another 2 years had passed. End of chapter. Chapter 4387. Another 2 years passed. In these 2 years, Lu Ming's comprehension of the pictographic characters was increasing every day. In these 2 years, Lu Ming had made great progress. Although he hadn't fully comprehended it, he was already starting to understand it. Under the golden wall of light, Lu Ming's figure flashed and his hands danced in a mysterious trajectory. Between his hands there were either mountains, flames, or divine weapons that slashed down, unpredictable and immensely powerful. This seemed to be a kind of seal technique. Although it looked similar to the current secret technique, the way it was operated was completely different. When this seal technique was operated, there seemed to be a mysterious qi gathering between heaven and earth, which could burst out a terrifying power. At this time, Lu Ming had a kind of enlightenment. He felt that he could use this seal technique to pass through the golden light wall. Autumn Moon, Bubbles, wait for me here. I'll give it a try. Lu Ming said, Come on, Brother Lu Ming. You can definitely do it. Bubbles waved her small fist and cheered for Lu Ming. Autumn Moon also smiled. She didn't need to say anything. She definitely believed in Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared under the golden light wall. Then his hands danced and operated the seal technique that he had comprehended from the pictographic characters. His hands seemed to have turned into flames and blasted out. Wang. When the flames blasted on the golden light wall shook violently. Circles of ripples spread out in all directions. It works. Continue. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It seemed that his guess was right. There was no need to fully comprehend those pictographic characters. As long as he comprehended a part of them, he could pass through the golden light wall. Immediately, Lu Ming continued to use the pictographic character seal technique. His hands danced rapidly and turned into a mountain again, bombarding the golden light wall, causing the golden light wall to shake even more violently. In the distance, about 10,000 li away, Yi Chu Qianyue and the others were still comprehending the pictographic characters. They all had the strength of the ninth great supreme god layer, so they weren't in a hurry to concoct the great desolate pellets. They also understood that this pictographic character was definitely a great opportunity. If they could comprehend it, it would be very useful to them in the future. Therefore, even though they had comprehended very little after so many years, they still did not want to leave and continued to comprehend here. Right at this moment, the golden wall of light began to tremble and ripple. What happened? Why did the wall of light suddenly shake? The people of the celestial race cried out. The tremors are coming from over there. That's Lu Ming and the others. Someone shouted. Could it be that Lu Ming and the others have already comprehended the ancient characters and are breaking through the golden light wall? As soon as this voice came out, everyone's faces turned ugly, including Yi Chu Qianyue. Let's go and take a look. Yi Chu Qianyue said in a cold voice. His figure flashed and rushed in the direction of Lu Ming's group. The others followed closely behind Yi Qianyue. The distance of 10,000 miles was covered in the blink of an eye. Soon they saw Lu Ming and the others. They also saw that Lu Ming was attacking the golden light wall. Sure enough, Lu Ming had succeeded. Damn it, Yi Chu Qianyue roared. His face was distorted and became extremely ferocious. He had spent 7 or 8 years to comprehend these pictographic characters. But Lu Ming had succeeded in just a few years and started to attack the golden light wall. Jealousy, extreme jealousy. At this moment, Yi Chu Qianyue felt that he was about to be burned by the fire of jealousy. Kill them. Don't let them pass through the golden light wall. Yi Chu Qianyue roared. His body was filled with cold, killing intent as he rushed madly towards Lu Ming and the others. The others did the same and rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. Stop them. Don't let them disturb the young master, Autumn Moon shouted. In her chest, the sacred heart of 9 orifices was beating violently. 9 colors of light filled the air and rushed towards Yi Chu Qianyue and the others. Don't you dare disturb brother Lu Ming. Bubbles also rushed out. The space-time force filled the entire void and shrouded all the heavenly human tribe. Autumn Moon and Bubbles did not want to kill the enemies. They only wanted to stop Yi Chu Qianyue and the others. The 2 of them cooperated seamlessly. For a moment, Yi Chu Qianyue and the others could not rush over. Lu Ming was not distracted. He wholeheartedly operated the pictographic characters to attack the golden light wall. The golden light wall shook more and more violently. At the center of Lu Ming's attack, a pit slowly appeared. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He seized the time and attacked continuously. With a boom, the light wall was blasted open, forming a hole that only one person could pass through. Autumn Moon, Bubbles, I'm going in. Lu Ming shouted. Young master, don't worry. Leave this to us. Brother Lu Ming, go in quickly. These people can't do anything to us. Autumn Moon and Bubbles quickly responded. Damn it, kill. Yi Chu Qianyue roared wildly and attacked frantically. However, it was useless. He was focused on and was wrapped in layers of space-time force. Then, Autumn Moon attacked him fiercely. He could not rush over in a short time. At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and dashed into the hole, disappearing from sight. Although Autumn Moon and Bubbles had to face Yi Chu Qianyue and the others outside, Lu Ming was not worried. With Autumn Moon and Bubble's strength, they could protect themselves. In fact, Lu Ming was the weakest among the three of them. Without him, Autumn Moon and Bubbles would have an easier time. This was also the reason why he could enter the Golden Light Wall without worry. As soon as Lu Ming entered the Golden Light Wall, the hole in the light wall disappeared in an instant. It did not allow a second person to pass through. The Golden Light Wall also returned to its original state. Lu Ming, Yi Chu Qianyue, gritted his teeth. His eyes were flickering with cold light. The flame of anger had reached its peak. After a while, Yi Chu Qianyue calmed down. "Let's go." Yi Chu Qianyue roared and turned to leave. Lu Ming had already entered the Golden Light Wall. There was no need for them to stay here. It was meaningless to stay. In the blink of an eye, the people of the Heavenly Human Tribe disappeared without a trace. After Lu Ming passed through the Golden Light Wall, he appeared in a spacious secret chamber. The secret chamber was empty. There was nothing in it. There was no other passage or gate. Lu Ming's face turned ugly. Where was the 5 elements immortal tear? After so many years, someone finally came here. A voice suddenly sounded. Lu Ming was startled. He looked around but did not see anyone. "Who is it?" Lu Ming shouted. "I'm above you." The voice sounded again. It sounded very young, like a 7 or 8-year-old girl. Lu Ming looked up. There was suddenly a light above the secret chamber. Then a figure suddenly appeared. This figure was only a little more than a meter tall. She had a ponytail and her face was red. It was indeed a 7 or 8-year-old girl. End of chapter. Chapter 40, 388. The little girl was barefooted. Her feet were white and tender, chubby and quite cute. She gently lifted her feet and landed in front of Lu Ming, looking at Lu Ming curiously. Lu Ming also looked at the little girl, curiously. "It's not a real body. It's just a shadow." Lu Ming's heart moved. He could clearly see that the little girl was not a real body, not a flesh and blood life, but a shadow. It looked like it was condensed by light, and it looked very illusory. "What's your name?" The little girl stared at Lu Ming and asked. "Lu Ming, what about you?" Lu Ming answered truthfully and then asked a question in return. "You can call me Jade Maiden. What do you think? It's a nice name, right?" After saying that, she looked at Lu Ming with a hopeful face. "That it's very nice," Lu Ming said somewhat against his will. I knew it. My name is just nice." Nice." The little girl was immersed in joy alone. "Lu Ming, that Jade Maiden, do you have 5 elements immortal tears here?" Lu Ming asked. 5 elements immortal tears, of course I have it. But if you want it, you have to promise me a condition. Jade Maiden also reacted, knowing that they were going to do business. Her small face put on a serious look. It was just that she was too cute. Even if she put on a serious look, she still looked charmingly naive. What condition? Lu Ming resisted the urge to pinch Jade Maiden's chubby face and asked. "It's very simple. It's to cultivate the qi refining technique I taught you." Jade Maiden said, "Qi refining technique? What's that? Cultivating true qi?" Lu Ming asked curiously. "Of course not. In your words, the qi refinement technique is a cultivation method from the last era. It absorbs the innate primordial qi for one's own use, refines the gold core, transforms the nascent soul, and finally ascends to immortality, becoming immortal. In the ancient desolation continent of the previous epoch, the main path of cultivation was the qi refinement art. It was extremely mysterious and full of mysteries. It was much stronger than your current path of cultivation and had a much brighter future. What do you think?" Jade Maiden muttered a bunch of things and finally looked at Lu Ming as if she was trying to trick a child. "It's actually a cultivation path from the previous era," Lu Ming said softly. His eyes were bright and he was also quite moved. Based on the evidence Xiao Qin had, the great desolate continent of the previous epoch was incredibly prosperous. Its overall strength was much stronger than it was now with many experts. This could be seen from the fact that the Heavenly Palace and the Heaven Destroyer were exploring the ruins of the universe. Moreover, the Taishang Immortal City was just a city left behind from the previous epoch, but it contained countless epochs, which made the Divine Lord Realm experts fight over it. Based on this evidence, the cultivation civilization of the great desolate continent of the previous epoch was much stronger than it was now. How could Lu Ming not be willing to cultivate the cultivation method of the previous epoch? Of course, I am willing to cultivate it. Lu Ming quickly nodded. Well, you can cripple your own cultivation, and then I will teach you the Qi refinement art. You can stay here and cultivate in peace. When you have some achievements in cultivation, you can go out and carry forward the Qi refinement art. Jade Maiden muttered again, but Lu Ming's face changed greatly. What? You want me to cripple my own cultivation and cultivate here in the future? No, I can't do that. Lu Ming immediately refused. What a joke. He had spent so much effort to cultivate to his current level. How could it be possible for him to cripple his own cultivation? Right now he had a taboo body and controlled the taboo power. His fighting strength was incomparably strong and had reached 13 stars. His future was limitless. Even if he cultivated the Qi refinement art, could he have his current achievements? Also, if he were to stay here and cultivate, he wouldn't go out? He still had to bring the 5 elements immortal tears out to save Dandan and Ling Yue. No matter what, he couldn't agree to these 2 conditions. Therefore, Lu Ming refused straightforwardly. Don't be in such a hurry to refuse. Let me tell you, although you are strong now, when you cultivate the Qi refinement art to a high level, you will not be weaker than you are now, and might even be stronger than you are now. Furthermore, the Qi refinement art has unlimited possibilities, and it is much more promising than you are now. Also, you want to go out because you want to bring the 5 elements immortal tears out to save someone, right? Don't worry about that. I can send the 5 elements immortal tears out to your friends. Don't you have 2 friends waiting for you outside? Jade Maiden continued to earnestly persuade Lu Ming. At the same time, she praised the Qi refinement art to the heavens. However, Lu Ming only shook his head. He had never cultivated the Qi refinement art before. Who knew if it was good or not? Who knew if Jade Maiden was bragging? Who knew if the Qi refinement art taught by Jade Maiden was high level or not? Even if it was a cultivation technique from the previous era, there would definitely be a difference in level. What if Jade Maiden taught him a very low level one? Why are you so stubborn? Humph, if you don't agree, I won't give you the 5 elements immortal tears. In the end, Jade Maiden pouted and released a big move. You can't be so shameless. Lu Ming was tongue-tied. Humph, so what if I'm shameless? The Jade Maiden glared at Lu Ming. She had a self-righteous look on her face. Lu Ming, humph, it wasn't easy for me to find someone who could comprehend some Qi refinement art. I definitely can't let you go. You have to give it a try, Jade Maiden continued. Lu Ming knew that Jade Maiden said that he had comprehended some Qi refinement art. It should be the hieroglyphs on the golden wall outside. Could it be that no one had come here before me? As far as I know, someone had come here 60 years ago, right? Lu Ming asked. Since Dandan knew that there were 5 elements immortal tears here, someone must have come here before. Yes, but those people are all trash. They don't have enough talent and aren't suitable for cultivation. You, on the other hand, are different. Your talent is very high. You only used 3 years to comprehend some Qi cultivation arts and entered this place. You are more suitable than those people. I won't let you go. Let me tell you, I definitely won't let you go. Jade Maiden muttered non-stop. All right, I can agree with you. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly said, You really agree? Jade Maiden was surprised. She didn't expect Lu Ming to change his mind so quickly. Previously, he was determined not to agree, but now he changed his mind? Yes, I agree. Lu Ming nodded. Just now, he had a flash of inspiration and thought of an idea. Behead 3 corpses technique. Yes, it was the behead 3 corpses technique. The behead 3 corpses technique could sever the past, present, and future. And now, Lu Ming could only sever his past and present. He had yet to sever his future. It's not that Lu Ming couldn't do it, but he didn't have a suitable opportunity to sever his future. His past body cultivated divine power, and his present body controlled taboo power. Then, what should he cultivate if he severed his future body? Now he had it. After severing his future body, he could cultivate chi refinement art here. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.